Hi, and welcome to the Black Dragon Tavern. Welcome to episode 11. I'm your host, Dante,
I'm your host, Deacon.
and kind of excited to do tonight's episode because this one goes to 11. And if you're a Spinal Tap fan, you'll totally get the reference. But that's what this week was like, Deacon. It was like really amped up. There was so much stuff going on. I had more stories than I could take notes on that I wanted to talk about. I ran
That's
across.
good because I don't have any.
All right, so I'll try to make up for some of that time. But there were so many things that came up this week that I was jotting notes on that I had to start turning things away, just because I was like, well, what's the really good stuff that I want to talk about?
Do you
Things
save
that I
them
think.
for tomorrow?
I did save some of the stuff, but there were some that I also flat out rejected because after
Yeah.
looking at them again, I kind of said, nah, that story's not really worth talking about, or it's not the right forum for talking about that stuff. But before we get into that, I just want to give a couple of shout outs real quick. I wanted to say thanks to Chris, and I want to say thanks to Paraj, and also to Lawrence Jesterson. It's kind of an inside joke for joining the show last week and having some pretty good chat going on there.
Aaron. Yeah, this is the Stonehenge episode.
Yeah, you got it. That's right. No one knows where it came from or where it was going. So, anyway, shout out to all those folks, and thanks for joining us last week
Yeah.
and checking out the show. We really appreciate the support. And if you're lurking out there and you haven't jumped into the chat, please by all means jump in. Drop us some lines and ask questions, make suggestions. We're totally happy to chat back at you. But again, if you're lurking, give us a follow. We super appreciate it. Check us out on Instagram at Black Dragon Tavern Online. Check us out on Twitter at Tavern_Black. You have to get our YouTube link off of our Twitch channel, unfortunately, because we don't have a vanity URL for that quite yet, but we're working on it. And I'm excited to say, finally, after a little over a month, we've got the Discord server pretty
Yeah.
much ready to go. I think we're going to do a once over on it again, maybe tomorrow morning or this evening after the show. Make sure it looks good, and then start sending some invites out to that. Then we'll put the link up on the Twitch page as well to the Discord server. And what's exciting about that is
There's a whole
we're
lot
able.
of other places too, the Facebook, the Instagram.
Yeah. Everywhere we're at on socials, we will post a link to the Discord server. But like I was going to say, what's exciting about that is I've got all the show notes on there from episode 1 all the way up to episode 10 with all the links and the things that we've referenced in the shows that actually had um, publication dates or links to articles or videos for trailers and whatnot. So that's pretty exciting. So that's what we'll be using the Discord server for primarily, is to link up all those resources. Um, so that's super exciting. Speaking of Discord, it was like perfect timing. As I was getting all that stuff ready when you were working on that with me, and we wrapped up getting. I have to apologize. My whole face feels like it's on fire right now. It's like super itchy.
That's weird.
It is really weird. Maybe it's like being locked in the game room here for too long. Anyway, as we were working on the Discord stuff, I ran into an article that was talking about the prevalence of malware on Discord and how they're really working hard to try to get rid of it, but that there are a lot of things that they don't know that exist. People will have shit uploaded to their server and it'll live on their server,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll have no clue they've got Trojans just waiting to deliver the payloads, or they got malware infested files up in their server.
Yeah.
So that's a thing that the Discord's trying to take care of, and they're asking for everybody out there who uses Discord, just be vigilant about what you put up there in your server and who you allow to upload files and stuff like that. So, but yeah. So again, it was sort of like one of those like precautionary tales of, now that we're getting ready to launch the Discord server,
Yeah.
this is something to be wary of.
And the thing to watch out for with malware on Discord now is a lot of it isn't even stuff. I mean, like, you're pretty tech savvy, you know what to watch out for, but a lot of it isn't stuff that you can really watch out for. It's not like shady links that you click, or it's not like weird random executable files that you download. A lot of it, you can upload a GIF, and that GIF will have the virus in it, and if it plays on your not your browser, if it plays on your application, that'll cause issues. Or if somebody embeds a video and they just send the video file, not even like a link to download it, then that can have issues as well. So
Yeah, there's all kinds of nasty shit they can embed in files and run APIs and things to like take advantage of like your keystrokes and all that. Like, yeah, I don't want to get too deep into it, but it is pretty nasty. But a good antivirus, good malware app on your system should take care of that,
yep.
hopefully. And like common sense, whole lot of common sense. But it's just amazing that even in this day and age, like people are that bored, trying to get their rocks off that they're sending out shit like that to other people. Oh, watch this, I'm gonna break this guy's server. It's like, all right, whatever, man. There are better things they could do, better things they could hack, but I won't go into that. So
Yeah.
I don't want the FBI banging on the door. But speaking of hacking and like cyber stuff and cyberpunk, another really cool thing I saw this week that just cracked me up. There's a new Cyberpunk Western game coming out. It's due out from a Paradark Studio, is the name of it, and they're out of Krakow, Poland. And you remember how just like a week ago we were talking about like all these excellent mini producers and scenery producers that are out of Poland? It's like they got it going on right now with the shit they're producing. But this thing is like it's over the top. It's like this is why I named this episode "This One Goes to 11" because this was so over the top. It was just you have to see it. It's called X Killer, EXEKILLER, and effectively it's like Rick Deckard meets Squint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood. So this guy is a cowboy. He's a bounty hunter. He's all decked out in the hat and the duster and everything. And it looks like he landed in the middle of Blade Runner. The only thing missing is he should be riding a horse instead of like a 500 horsepower
Yeah.
engine. In this car that he's got. And you're a bounty hunter and you're going after these. I don't know if they're actually replicants, but they have these chips they carry around in them, and they're called soul chips. S period O period U period L period, and I don't know what the soul stands for because the article didn't explain it. But it's so over the top. It's so cheesy. It's like this massive cheese fest. They've got like medieval touches of medieval combat. They've got like modern military weaponry. They've got like old
Hmm.
west stuff, and they've got cyberpunk stuff, like all wrapped into one. And they have some of the worst voice acting I've ever heard. And I hope they don't change a thing because I absolutely love it. It looks so cheesy. It's like I've got to play this game because it looks like a total like the kind of stuff you want to play like after work where you just want to go blow some shit up,
Hmm.
and like sit down and not think of anything until you're ready to have dinner or whatever. So look for that, but don't look for that too soon because Paradark Studios says that it's coming out when it's ready. So that's their release date when it's ready. Speaking of games, another really interesting article that I read was what happens after Valhalla? What happens after the Siege of Paris? So, Valhalla, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, has some DLC called Siege of Paris. And there was another one that just came out before that, and I can't. The name of it escapes me right now. I haven't even downloaded that one. I think that's the one they go to Ireland. The
Hmm.
Vikings go to Ireland. I
Sounds
wanted to
interesting.
download it just to see the scenery because there's only about 15 to 20 hours of playable content, maybe 30 if you stretch it out and do all the side quests. And then the same thing with Siege of Paris. It's only 15 to 20, 30 max hours of worth of playable content. But this author that wrote this article, they came at it from a really good perspective of like, what happens after this? It's the same old effectively. Like, Ubisoft keeps producing these games where they're bigger, bolder, brighter, more colorful, lots more scenery to see, but there's not a lot of meat there. There's not a lot of beef to chew on. There's
Yeah.
You go through the main story quest and then it's the same thing over and over. You're riding and riding and riding, or you're walking or running, trying to get to your next destination so you can do what? Same thing that you just did in the previous town.
That
So
sounds a bit like I hate to say it because I absolutely love the game, but it sounds a bit like Red Dead 2. where you spend all your time riding from like Valentine to Saint Denis, and when you get there, you do the same thing. You rob a bank, and it
Yeah.
goes wrong, and you have to flee town. You know.
Yeah. It's
So
almost like there isn't enough randomness of events in those games. Like, I understand you're working with a finite number of things that you can do because the AI is programmed to respond to certain actions and choices, and it's very much also choose your path driven. Like, depending on what you do, the game responds. Okay, you shot the guy. Now they're gonna bet, the sheriffs are gonna come after you or whatever. But with Assassin's Creed, they sort of lost their soul. They sort of lost their whole purpose. Like, the
they
whole
did, yeah.
thing about being an assassin and trying to take down a cult of religious zealots that are trying to take over the world and brainwash humanity to become effectively like living bank accounts for the entire world global economy, while keeping them fat and happy with bread and circuses. They lost sight of all that. Now it's like choose your own path RPG and go through this other type of stuff.
Hey, PR5H, thanks for the follow.
Yeah, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. It's always good to have new viewers here. And
Yeah.
if you're joining for the first time, I'm your host, Dante,
I'm Deacon.
and we do this every Friday and Saturday. So
Oh, yeah.
tune in, kick back, and but yeah. So what happens after Siege of Paris? They're going to come out with what is it called? Assassin's Creed.
What do? We do a whole lot of nothing. We talk. We talk for a while about whatever we have to talk about on. Okay, buddy.
Oh, nice. You want to hit the ban on that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Have a good life, dude. Well, that was exciting for a hot minute there. Thought maybe we had a new follower, but somebody turned into like an absolute dickhead.
Yeah. All right. Well, back to where we
Anyway,
were.
back to where we were.
Yeah.
Valhalla. So it aligns directly, I guess you could say, it aligns directly with how I've been feeling about Assassin's Creed for a long time.
Hey,
Bigger
Dino.
bigger isn't necessarily
How's it
better.
going?
You think it's another one?
No. What's up, Dino?
Yeah, welcome to the Black Dragon Tavern. Good to have you. We're just talking about Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Assassin's Creed Siege of Paris DLC. So what I was saying though is like, for me, they lost that thread. They got too much
Yeah.
into. That's cool.
They went too much to like combat RPG.
Yeah.
Level up, get better
Yeah.
loot. Go on that whole
Yeah,
cycle.
they changed. They changed the Templars to the whole Abstergo thing to like I don't know. Anyway, the whole things is. Did you play Hagrid? No, I have not. We'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
So, with the it's like the oh man, like I said, the name escapes me. The multiverse, the multiplayer, big Assassin's Creed that they're talking about doing. Once they do that, it's going to be kind of like Skyrim online,
Yeah.
Elder Scrolls online, not Skyrim. And you lose a whole lot there because it's like a lot of combat focused, and I don't know. If they just had more things, more to very, I do kind of look like that.
yeah.
Yep. No, actually, here, check this out. Check this out. Now, who am I now? Let's see how much of a gamer nerd you are.
I don't even know who you're trying to look like right now.
I'm your character in Valheim.
Oh yeah.
I was noticing that the other day with my like shaved haircut and the
Shaved it down
ponytail.
more on the side.
Yeah, it's about due for that. Anyway, enough of that. Beat that dead horse. Assassin's Creed. So it could be a dying thing. It could be a dying franchise. I don't know. I mean, people are still buying it like crazy, but I don't know. I think for me, it's done. What else is going on? That was kind of like. Well, there was the other thing I mentioned earlier too that I saw in this was from Gizmodo. Speaking of like old stuff, like going back to like early days of origin stories and whatnot. Star Wars. There's a new spin-off novel that's coming out, and they
yeah,
go like
yeah.
way back to the origin stories, and they're gonna go back to like the origins of the Sith and the Jedi when they were first forming, and it looked really cool. And they've got a couple people. They got one person who's writing the novel. What's her name? I wrote it down here. Emma Miko Kando. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or not, but so the cover art looks really freaking cool. It's like a Ronin samurai,
Yeah.
and he's got a sword, and he's holding the sword, and it's what they call like a force imbued sword
Hmm.
before lightsabers.
Oh yeah.
So, and then that's also going to be streaming on Disney Plus. So the stream comes out for the series on October 12th, but the novel's hitting bookshelves on September 22nd.
I didn't know there was gonna be a series for it. That's kinda
Yeah,
cool.
it's called Star Wars Visions.
Oh
So, and I
yeah.
might actually watch it because it kind of looks like maybe like almost like the old Lone Wolf and Cub, Ronin Sith, like traveling the galaxy looking for jobs. Star Wars animes look cool. They do. There's a lot of stuff coming out
Yeah.
that looks really good in the expanded EU for Star Wars. Yeah. So that was another thing to look out for if you're like a into those novels. Check that out. It's called Star Wars Visions. And then so in all the crazy shit I saw this week, one of the craziest ones that really had me laughing was how we were just talking about Nicolas Cage a couple weeks ago.
Hmm.
Then we got a little crazy. I got doing the Nicolas Cage impersonations.
Yeah.
So there's a trailer that just dropped for this really cool looking movie that he's in, and he calls it the quote wildest movie I've ever been in or done,
Hmm.
end quote, and that's a lot coming from him. So it's called oh man, where did I put it? Prisoners of the Ghostland.
I've
So
heard of that.
so I don't know if it's
Yeah.
based on like a novel or a graphic novel, but it's like a post-apocalyptic world where on the outskirts of this civilized area there's a place where the ghost people live. And they're nomadic, they're mysterious, nobody knows a lot about them, but typically like if you wind up there you don't come back.
I
Um,
think I've seen a trailer for that.
so
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
crime boss, this like corrupt crime boss, who basically picks Nicolas Cage. He's a prisoner, and he picks Nicolas Cage and he says, "You're gonna go rescue my granddaughter, and you got 5 days to do this.
Hmm.
And on top of that, you're gonna wear this suit that has bombs built into it. And if you try to run, we're gonna blow you up. If you don't come back in 5 days, we're gonna blow you up." So the trailer looked really cool. I'm not, one for like going to see a whole lot of like Nick Cage movies just because usually they're like steaming piles of crap, you know. But this one looked pretty cool. So it looked like it might be pretty cool because it also played on. They had all kinds of stuff going on in there again, where like different genres, post-apocalyptic, and then they had the Western stuff, and then they had
Yeah.
futuristic things. So
I
I don't
think
know.
having the bombs go off if you don't come back by 5 days is a bit of a dumb idea, because what if you've got his daughter and you're like an hour's drive away and all of
Yeah.
a sudden you blow up
Yeah,
because you weren't back like right then? That's
right. You take your your
Mhm.
granddaughter out in the process. Yep, game over, dude. Yeah. So anyway, so that's coming out. When does that due out? I don't know if they had a release date for that. I'll put that up on the Discord server with a link to the trailer. But one of the funniest stories that I read this week, also that I think you'd get a kick out of, is, and this is funny because we just ate fried rice the other night. So there was a restaurant called Lily. I think it was in New York. It was a Vietnamese restaurant, and they wanted to get back at some of the other restaurants around. They were trolling them because of the way that restaurants are pulling gimmicks trying to make money now. So they came up with the dish. You ready for this?
Mhm.
It was called the $72 douchebag special. It was a fried rice dish that the name was actually number one Doc Biet fried rice.
Hmm.
But the staff, they all called it number one douchebag fried rice. And it was $72. And what it had was king and duchess crab,
Okay.
Binta-chan grilled A4 Miyazaki Kobe beef,
Okay.
topped with white sturgeon caviar and raw Jidori egg yolk and Perigord black truffle XO. I don't know what that is, if that's so pronounced Joe or just XO. So they made this really like hipster douchebag meal, and they were selling it for $72. Now the ironic thing was, it was really good, and it became really popular. So much that they were making up to 20 of them an evening, and they wound
Wow.
up having to stop because the staff was like, "No, we can't do this anymore because it takes so long to make, and it takes so many ingredients, and it's so expensive."
That's crazy.
So they basically had to like stop that. But I
Shit,
just
if I were one of the other restaurants, I'd pick that up. I'd be like, yeah, guess what we're serving now?
right. Well, so the owner said like it's not even Vietnamese. And the only reason they did it again was like so that they could troll the other restaurants around them. Because like you know what it's like around here
Yeah.
around town. You go to a restaurant, everything's like artisanally hand-picked truffle farts, from the truffle tree or whatever. They start to sound like Dr. Seuss books after a while.
Yeah.
Trying to buy some of this pretentious bougie ass food.
Speaking of not that, if you go back a bit, you were talking about that Blade Runner-esque game, the Wild West one.
Yeah, X the
Speaking
Killer.
of, yeah, Cyberpunk stuff has been coming up a lot lately. Not only on these streams, but just in general. And another one of those is Ghost in the Shell. The original animated version is getting a remaster. It's going into 4K, and they're going to be bringing it to IMAX theaters.
Oh, that's
So,
cool.
Yeah, the original animated version.
That would be
So,
cool to see on one of those big, what is it, 75 millimeter screens?
yeah,
Where they're like
Mhm.
super stretch or whatever.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
IMAX. Yeah,
that would be
so
cool.
they'll be going to
Well,
those theaters.
IMAX, okay, if it's IMAX, it's on the dome, right?
I think so. Yeah, but
Yeah.
those are the ones that like stretch
Yeah,
all
the
the way across.
hemispherical. Yeah.
Hmm.
All right, that's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be cool to see if it comes here.
yeah. Do you remember going to any IMAX movies?
Yeah. Um, we went to one, and I can't remember what it was, but I went to one on a field trip, and that was like years and years and years ago. But it was in the Milwaukee Public Museum. It was in the one that they have there.
Oh,
It was
nice.
really cool. It was about I think it was about Jerusalem, and about the history of the city and all that, and like it was really cool.
Yeah, that sounds really cool. I've seen ones where they've done like they were filmed by oceanographers, so they'll explore like life under the sea, swimming with fish and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And then and that's kind of cool because it's you're like immersed in this like massive screen. And then I've seen ones where they've done space exploration. Um, a lot of it's like CG, so it's not like they're
Yeah.
actually flying around. That would be kind of cool. Have a
They
camera
should,
mounted
like,
to a little
They
shuttle.
really need
Yeah.
to get practical effects for those. For like the space ones, they just turn the AC up really hard. And
Yeah.
It gets like freezing cold in there. For the ocean ones, I don't know. They like.
Have a sea mist sprayed at you.
Well, I was gonna say they just put a shower above your head and like toss some old like trash from the seafood restaurant next door in.
Oh my god.
Just-
Plastic
Yeah.
bottles in there.
Oh god, that
They could
sucks.
they could like hang them off of fishing lines and hit you in the forehead with
Yeah.
them. While you're watching this, you're all zoned out and you're like, "What's that?" It's a sad, tragic result of the trash that we throw into the ocean.
Yeah.
I shouldn't joke about that, but
I was
I
watching.
mean, you get people's attention. That's for
yeah.
sure.
I was watching a video the other day. This guy was like talking about animals that he thought he could beat in a fight, and one of the ones he was saying was a whale, and he was trying to figure out like if he could beat a whale or not.
Uh-huh.
And he was saying like, I don't know, man. I could just like go like oh, and he pulled out a plastic bottle. And he's like, oh, what's this? What's this? This is dangerous. They pulled out some plastic straws. He's like, I got you there.
Choked to death
So-
on it. Oh my god. Is this the dude that does that? Like that's his whole thing is like, I could beat a jaguar if I.
No, I don't.
I thought you were telling me about some of that, but they were
don't
sort of like
think I know.
they were
what
ranking
this
like
is.
the animals they thought they could beat, but they had to beat it a certain way. They could
Oh.
only do it if they did like certain tactics or whatnot. Huh.
I don't remember telling you. anything
Oh,
like
okay. That's weird.
that.
I remember that, but apparently you don't. So
Weird.
yeah.
Um,
What was the other thing you watched this week that was pretty funny? You said you were going to talk about it on stream. You wanted to bring it up.
Remember? So.
I'm just grabbing the stream deck.
Oh, okay. You got something to pull up here?
No. Nothing you should be concerned with.
Oh, music? No. No, don't do music.
Well, you were like, you couldn't remember what it was, so I couldn't resist. It'll go off.
I see.
And if it doesn't, you should probably stop it.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I can't remember what it was though, which sucks because I did really wanna. Oh, was that the one I was talking about earlier today?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Germa985, big streamer on here. I haven't watched his streams too much, but he did a really funny one today. It was like it was the Germa985 dollhouse, and it was effectively like The Sims. So he had like all this stuff set up, and if you donated to his chat, then you could like I think it was donations, but like donations or polls, you could control what he does. So it's a really cool idea. I haven't seen anything like it before.
Yeah.
But,
it was cool. I want to know more about the headgear he was wearing. You know, like if that had cameras or if that
no,
had
that was one of those can hats where you put a like a can.
Is that all that was?
Yeah. There's a
wow.
like a 12-ounce can on each side, and it's got the little straws that come down to your mouth.
Yeah, but like I wonder, like how was he monitoring? Like when people put in, you know, like if somebody donated bits and they said, "Go get into your car" or whatever. Like, were they feeding him information into like an earpiece or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, I mean, because he was moving around looked like a whole movie studio set.
Yeah, it was big. It was kind of cool.
It had to be probably partially. Well, I'll bet a lot of it was green screened in too.
It was, yeah. There was a lot of CG in there, but it was kind of neat.
It was really cool. Yeah. There was another story you were telling me too, and I can't remember for the life of me now. This is why I was saying, like, you know, take a note, write it down, jot it down. I don't remember what it was, but it was like another funny something that happened on stream. I can't remember. But I know you're fond of watching that show, that British show, where they'll have to do something.
Taskmaster.
Yep.
It was a pretty fun show.
Yeah.
There's another Twitch streamer who is starting his own show, kind of like that, on Twitch actually, and he's calling it, because he doesn't want to get taken down, he's calling it like Task Manager or something
Task
like
Manager,
that.
yeah.
So it's effectively the same thing, getting big content creators and influencers and streamers to demean or degrade themselves for tasks in the hope of winning points to win a small meaningless prize at the end of each episode.
A little Cupid doll or something. It's hilarious.
Looks pretty fun.
Yeah. I love the ingenuity though that the people who are on that show, like, just the stuff, the way they come up with the different ways to accomplish the task that they're charged to do.
The different ways that they interpret it too, like,
right,
you know, throw this thing on a mat, furthest distance wins. You know, and they like throw it on the mat, and then they roll the mat up and put the mat in a car and drive it to the next city.
Right,
over.
Exactly.
So
it was a bean, wasn't it? Like
it was a pea.
A pea.
Yeah.
Right, like what the hell's that fable, The Princess and the Pea?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
The Princess Al Murray.
Al Murray.
Yeah. He threw a pea on a mat and stuck it in a taxi and drove to a different city with it.
Yeah.
Unrolled it just before the time ended. Pea was still on the mat, and he accelerated the pea for like 18 miles or something like that. The second closest was only like, 40 yards.
Wow,
so,
that's funny.
It's a fun show.
Yeah.
It's I think all of the episodes are up on YouTube for free, so I'd definitely check that out if you have the spare time. If you're out there and you want a fun thing to watch.
That makes me want to do, like, when we talked about doing the stream originally, we were talking about doing the channel here. We're coming up with, like, well, what can we do? What kind of format can we do? What would be kind of cool? And not that we're lazy, but, we were trying to think of, like, we got this great game room. Let's take advantage of it. We got this background behind us. This is real. This is not green screen. So, you know, what can we do? Well, maybe we can sit around and we can chat and just bullshit about nothing and whatever's cool that comes up during the week, and then we can play games. So for those of you that are new, if you're still out there, Dino, what is it? Dino Wild? Dino
JWM.
or Dino JWM? Um, on Saturdays, the second half of the show, we do the first half like this, fireside chat. On the second half, we'll play a game, and it could be a tabletop game, it could be a video game. Tomorrow, in fact, tomorrow we're going to be playing this game, Monsters versus Heroes. That's a Dragon Studio or a Pendragon Studio game, Pendragon Game Studios. And it's kind of cool because it's like classic monsters like the vampire and the werewolf and the mummy versus like Sherlock Holmes clan. And you don't know which clan you're going to be a part of until you flip the card over in secret so that your opponent can't see it. And then you build a deck based on like what you draw from the pile. So we'll be playing that tomorrow night. See if we can get a couple games of that in here. Should be pretty cool. But so the whole point was like, you know, watching shows like that, like Taskmaster, makes me think like we need to start doing some stuff outdoors, like some field stuff, and put it up on YouTube. You know, make some videos like we talk about doing the medieval weapon testing.
Yeah.
And you know, as a like a goof, doing the cave combat stuff.
Well, the thing is now, like, now that we've actually gotten around to doing this, summer's pretty much over, you know? Going into fall, going into winter.
Yeah, you know, I mean, there's always like we could squeeze some stuff in before then and work on editing it and, you know, releasing it on a schedule or whatever. It doesn't have to be right away. You know, and then there's spring. We'll get through the winter. We'll figure something out, like in terms of what kind of crazy shit can we do over the winter. Take advantage of that because, you know, in Wisconsin, it's either like you're freezing your balls off or digging your way out of like 7 feet of snow.
Or you're that dude walking down State Street in shorts and flip flops and like
Yeah.
negative 10-degree weather.
Yeah, that one dude. That one dude that goes to the college down there. Yep. Yep.
Dude.
So that was about it for my notes. And you know, I just thought that was funny. The last one, the $72, the number one douchebag fried rice. So next time we go to Great China over here, like, don't ask them for the Doc Biet fried rice because I don't think they'll have it. What else is cooking on your agenda this week?
Not a whole lot. Well, for this week at least.
Well, you got in a game. You got in a Crusade game twice this week. You got last weekend at Misty.
Yep.
And then once at Noble Night this Wednesday.
I did, yeah. That was very fast.
A very fast game, yeah. You pretty much like had your ass handed to you, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
I was sorry to hear about that.
Yeah, whatever. I had fun. So, I mean,
Well,
that's kinda
look at
what
it this
counts,
way.
you know?
By the time we get around to playing a 40K Crusade game here on the stream, you're going to be so good at it that, like, you know, we'll have to get a couple games in because you'll probably just, like, clean my clock. You know, I still need to sit down and just go over the rules
You do,
again.
yeah. And you're going to be even more out of it because you'll be playing Space Marines and not Death Guard for once, so...
Yeah, yep, I forgot. It took me a minute to figure out what are you talking about. But yeah, you're right, because you'll be playing Black Templars, and I'll be playing Imperial Fists. Yeah. So that'll be interesting. I'd still like to get a 50 power level Death Guard army and see how they do. You know,
yeah.
We talked about that, but it wouldn't be very big.
No,
What do you...
So we have been playing it wrong. I read the rules, and you are supposed to be playing, like, you have your list, which is 50 power level, and then per game you only pull out a select amount of that. So, like, 25 is the basic that you pull out. So
it is basically a skirmish game. It's a small scale, I can't say that 10 times fast, small scale skirmish game.
Small scale skirmish game. Small scale skirmish game.
All right.
Yeah, it's hard.
Which, you know, again, like, is kind of weird and a little bit of a deviation from what I thought Crusade was going to be.
Well,
you know.
You can increase it and you can move up with what you put out. Like, we could do, because we're not, like, beholden to anybody, like, at Missy, we don't have to just follow 25, so we could do, like, 2 games each, like, 25. I'll do it when I can see it. 25, 25, and then the next two games we do are like 30 and 30, and then you go up increments of 5, and you can increase it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess like the part I wasn't understanding, and maybe you can explain it, is like, so if you're pulling an army of what they call 50 power level, but you're only in the game, you're only playing with 30 of that. What happens to the other 20? When do they come in? Do they come in? And what's the point of having 50 if you're only going to play with 30?
You have 50, and let's say you pull like, let's split in half, 25 and 25. You play with 25. The 25 that were out on the board, they get XP. They get, all their stuff. Now, maybe, let's take my list, for example. I had a company commander. I had, this is only what I played with. Company commander, 3 squads of infantry, a command squad, and a tank. So there's my 24 power. I played with 24 and 25 because I couldn't fit any more in. But the ones that I put on the table all got XP. The ones that I left out did not get any XP. But let's say I'm playing against somebody who has a lot of psychers. I might want to, like, okay, I'll get rid of this tank. Like, not really get rid of it. Like, I'm not deleting it from my list. I'm just switching it out for something that's in my reserve 25. I'll get rid of this tank, and in its place, I can put in a sentinel and another psyker, so that I can have a psyker. I will put in 2 psychers, So you can kind of like pull depending on like who you're facing. So
interesting. Yeah.
So it's like very hard to talk when I've got candy in my mouth. So
yeah, I was noticing that it's not really good for for like that's what they tell you like in broadcasts on radio or television, like don't be chewing on anything because it'll come through. But you're down there inhaling those. What are those?
Starburst. Mm-hmm.
Haven't seen those in a while.
And by a while, do you mean like?
I don't know. You're always eating the Sour Patch Kids stuff, so.
Using them, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't remember last time I saw you buying those.
Oh,
what do you like better? Do you like the Starburst better, or you like the Sour Patch Kids?
That's really tough to answer because they're 2 very different things. These are really nice, but I'm not a fan of all the flavors that are in them, like the pink. What is the pink?
I don't know.
Strawberry? No, it's strawberry, which is weird because I really like the red ones, which are cherry, which is a flavor that generally I hate with a burning passion.
I was going to say, you were just talking about that.
They don't really taste like cherry, which is the weird thing. They taste like... Remember I was telling you about the Sour Patch Kids and how they taste blue?
Right, like the blue tastes blue. Like when you have it, you're like, yeah, this is blue.
These taste kind of red. They don't taste like cherry, they taste like red. These taste like cheap artificial strawberry, which I don't really like. So
it's
almost
like a bad medicine type of thing.
Yeah, exactly. But I really like them mainly because I love their orange ones. Their orange ones are actually orange flavored, and they put real citric acid in them, if I remember correctly, and they're really good.
Interesting.
But there's also like not many in a thing. I think you get like 5 in a pack or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but with Starburst, pink ones are the best? No, the pink ones aren't the best.
We'll save them up for you.
Yeah. Pink ones by far, wrong hand, worst. Orange is good. Orange are the best.
I haven't had them in a long time. The last candy bar I had was a whatchamacallit.
Yeah.
That was like a week ago or so.
Yep.
Week or 2 ago. But
Sour Patch Kids, I really like those because they're sour. I really like sour things.
Yeah.
And also their blue flavor is really good.
I think you like sweet tart stuff. You like it sour, but it's got to have a little bit of sweetness to it.
That's their line. Sour Patch Kids. First they're sour, then they're sweet.
That's funny.
But yeah, they are. They're really nice.
Which, like sweet tarts. Now there is a candy called sweet tarts.
Yeah.
the
Yeah, the
little
little dips. They're
chalky
like
discs.
Smarties.
Yeah, yep, exactly. You
Um,
get those in Halloween a lot still, but
kids. Oh my god, kids would trade those at school like they were drugs, and practically eat them like they were drugs too. They'd crush them up on their desk and try to snort
oh,
them.
that's pretty funny.
Fuck you up because you get like a nosebleed after that from all like the bits of like chalky bits
Oh,
of
that's
candy.
really
Like,
gross.
yeah, it is.
They would actually snort them?
Yeah, well,
the fuck is wrong with those kids?
they would try.
Oh my god.
Dude, it's like high school kids. Stupidness knows no bounds.
Oh, I guess I shouldn't say anything. These are the same dumbasses eating Tide
Yeah.
Pods, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Good God.
But yeah, Sour Patch Kids. I also really like those.
Now,
Thing is,
what-
I can't eat either of them for too long because like Sour Patch Kids are sour enough to a degree where like if you eat too many of them, your mouth starts to hurt, which is probably a really bad sign. But like,
Probably,
Yeah.
yeah. Or like if your teeth start to hurt, dude,
no,
you need
it's
to
not.
go to the
It's
dentist.
not teeth. It's like it starts to
I'd
burn
be,
from
I'd,
the sourness.
I'd be surprised if you
But,
didn't have like at least 2 or 3 cavities
I
next
don't.
time you go. I know, but don't, you know, that ain't gonna last forever.
These ones,
The red?
no, sour Starburst in general are just hard to eat because they're like, you know, really ridiculously tough, and you really gotta chew them.
Yeah, I'm not a big,
Um,
I'm not a big fan of like, I don't know. I'm torn. I like
Still,
toffees, but like,
yeah,
I like some things are too sticky for my teeth. But what blew my mind though is the Sour Patch that day. Like
Yeah.
I'm like you were telling me about it. And I'm like, well, let me try one of those. And then like you gave me the blue one. Holy fuck! It tasted like blue. It was blue.
mm-hmm.
It's like the color blue.
Well, that's
what
what the
flavor is
flavor
it? It's blue.
Mm-hmm.
So you should
So-
try that. You should try that, Chris. Like next time you get a craving for candy, get a little bag of Sour Patch Kids, and then try the blue ones. It'll just freak you out.
It's like Gatorade. That like,
Excuse me, Jesus.
what's that Gatorade flavor? The Gatorade has a flavor. It's like Cool Blue or whatever, you know. And they don't even tell you what it is on there. It's
What do you
like
have left over there? Just the pink?
pink and a yellow.
Let me try one of those pink ones. I wanna
I'd
see-
take
I
the
wanna
yellow
see if
one if
they're-
I were you. It's,
I know,
lemon.
but Chris, he says the pink ones are the bomb, so it's the best. I want to see this.
Candy tie that Halloween, yeah. Let me say, now that I am 18 and I'm not fully reliant on you, fuck the candy tie that Halloween. I hate that.
Yellow
sucks.
socks? Huh.
Okay.
I don't know. Like I said, I haven't had one of these in I don't know how long. I feel like I'm all scrunched up like this.
I will admit yellow is not my favorite, but
Hey, Chris, check this out.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. I wouldn't say yellow are my favorite by any means, but I like yellow. I like lemon and lime in general. I really like.
Okay, you know what? The pink's not bad.
I'm not a
I gotta
fan.
admit, it's okay. It's pretty good. It's not terrible. It's not like I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna taste like wax, like flavorless wax, for sure.
Nah. It's got flavor to it. I'm just not a fan of that flavor.
There's something else that's coming through. There's
I'll be
strawberry for sure.
I will
But-
be right back.
All right, grab me a cherry soda, would you? Black cherry. So Deacon just popped off screen. He's probably gonna go get some more candy or hopefully bring back some soda here. We're going through these things like nothing. Let's see. Now take a pink and an orange and mush them together. He ate all the orange. So I don't have any orange. There's like, oh shit, sticking in my tooth. There's like one pink and one yellow left. And I don't know if I want yellow. He ate the last red one too. I wanted to try that because it sounded pretty good. But I don't know.
soda.
It's all right.
Oh, well. We have sodas down here.
Yeah, grab me an orange one out of there. I just think it's hilarious that you're like, comfortable with popping off stream now while we're like live streaming. I guess it's all good. It's all right.
Take a pink and an orange and mush them together.
Oh man,
If we
it's sticking
had-
in my tooth.
Yeah, if we had any orange, I would try that, but I've eaten all of the orange and the red. So, if you want to try a yellow one later, turns out I do have more yellow. So
Are they like lime or lemon rather?
Mhm. Yep. I think that's actually what they are. Yeah. Lemon.
This is what we're playing tomorrow. Monsters versus Heroes. It's Victorian Nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty fun game. There are a couple of card games I want to get you brought up to speed on. I think you would like them. You may or may not. One's about building bombs, nuclear bombs. You play a scientist and you're trying to beat your opponent to get to the bomb first. And then, what else did we play? We used to play card games on our lunch break at my old job. Hero Realms,
Yeah.
Star Realms.
So, pink and orange or red and pink, those sound interesting, but like, I don't think I have the jaw strength to eat two of them at the same time.
Especially if they stick your teeth together and you can't open
Yeah.
your mouth.
It's like
This
like
thing
that
keeps
old,
getting
it's
between
like
my...
that old commercial or whatever it was when you like eat the candy and it like comes like a glue, you know?
Mhm. This thing keeps going on the outside of my tooth and getting stuck
Yeah,
to the outside. It's like, I can't get it
So-
out of there.
That's what I was saying. Like, I like these, but I can't eat them for too long because after a while, it's like, man, my jaw I'm sore. I gotta take a break. It's like a workout.
Shit, I don't want to with a cavity. That's the last thing I need.
We got a cooperative game called Horrified where you're trying to save a village from the classic movie monsters. That sounds kind of cool.
Nice. Haven't played it yet. Get on that. How many players?
Yeah, how many players? Yeah.
There's probably painting in the background.
Yeah. You think what I'm thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do kind of just have to let Starburst soak in your mouth. You kind of like...
How many players is that game that you just mentioned?
That's kind of the trick. You like chew it until it's a ball, and then or like until it's like flatter than a brick, and then you just kind of let it dissolve
I put it on the roof of my mouth
and like squish it.
with my tongue. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. See, I don't.
I love that because the flavor just
Yeah.
totally spreads inside of your own mouth.
See, like, I don't trust that anymore. I have a hard time just letting it soak because I'll just eat these throughout the day at work because I'm not even kidding. They got like one of the gallon Ziploc bags filled with them.
Some
And then
diabetes.
well,
1 to 5 players.
oh yeah. So, Chris, you want to come on sometime? Special guest.
How do
play
you
the game?
how do you feel about being on camera live in front of like a studio audience?
But what I was saying was, I was eating one of those, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll just let it sit. So I was like letting it sit, and somebody came up to talk to me. They're like, hey, can you go clean that room? And I was like, I was folding some laundry. I was like, yeah, sure. And I swallowed the entire thing.
Oh, I know.
whole,
I've done
and-
that. And you're like,
Yeah,
Mhm.
but I flattened it out, so I wasn't choking on it. It just scared the fuck out of me.
yeah, because
So
you
I
have
was
a
like,
lump that goes all the way
Mhm.
down now. All of
Yeah.
a sudden,
So,
Yeah.
like, I was fine. I was like, let me just go get a thing to drink real quick. So, yeah. Oh, man, that terrified me. Also, speaking of work, oh, man, today was such a fucking crappy day. I was, there was nothing going on there, so I was just kind of felt like a ghost. I was just walking around the halls like, do you have anything I could? No. Okay. Do you? Hey, can I help? No. Okay. Do you have anything I could? No. Okay. So I was like, okay, I'll go up and I'll check the front thing because they have reception desk. They have trash cans under their seats, and I was like, I'll go up and check those. And they had the baby gates out there because when the receptionist dog was out there in the front, and I was sitting there, and I always have this problem. But I go up to the gate and I'm like, click, click. I'm like, come on. So I'm sitting there for like a minute just trying to open this baby gate. And this guy, he looks over at me and he says, they're baby proof. And I go, all right. He's like, they're child proof. And I go, I'd explain it. So I'm just sitting there. I finally get it after like 2 minutes. And he's like, I would have gone over there and helped you, but I didn't want you to feel like, God, I needed help just opening that. So I was like, yeah, thanks.
Was that the new coworker?
Yeah.
That's funny.
So I was like, thanks, man. And I walked away and I was like, that was a fucking child gate, you know?
I'm gonna give you my pill bottle, and see if you can open my pill bottle.
I can open those easy. I got used to that because you're always
I'm just
go grab my meds. So
yeah.
I'm like, oh, here we go again. So I just can do it in like, I'm like the fastest opener in the West. I can go like in one thing.
Yeah.
It's like a Beyblade.
I can do that with whiskey bottles. That's I don't know if I should be bragging about that, but like, one shot whiskey bottle, lids off.
It's like a fucking dude. Your pill
like
bottle's
a Beyblade.
Like Beyblade. So you press the tab down and you're like Beyblade, Beyblade, let it rip.
Beyblade, really. Damn. But speaking of choking, like that must be a thing with my family, because like, and we don't say anything about it because it's embarrassing. Well, they should say something because it's dangerous as fuck too. But we were here. I was here with you, and we were talking or something, and I had just stuck a Werther's in my mouth. Those are the choke to death candies. Those are like really bad, like because the way they're shaped and all that. And you were saying something, and I laughed and went, and I choked on it. And went, ha! It just came flying out, and I'm like, yeah, that's cool. And I just carried on with the conversation. Now I got it like tucked, stick it down between my cheek and gum down here, like fucking chewing tobacco, right? That ain't going anywhere. I got that shit trapped.
Yeah.
And so this goes way back to like Thanksgiving when we were kids. My cousin Raymond, actually we were probably like in our late teens, and my cousin Raymond, he's how many years? He's like maybe, I don't know, like 8 years older than me, 9 years older than me. Yeah. And like, there was a lot of recreational experimentation with certain substances in those years, and then you needed it in order to like deal with the family at Thanksgiving, because this is the extended family. So I'm talking, you sadly won't probably see this unless you have a big family sometime in the future. We'd have 25 to 30 people in a house.
Christ, that's insane.
Kids running all over the place, old people, the grandparents, the aunts, the uncles. I'm talking extended family, big holidays. So this one Thanksgiving, we're throwing down on this food because of course we got the munchies, right? And like nothing says munchies like a full spread of Thanksgiving food spread out all on the table. So cousin Raymond's sitting next to me, and we're laughing, like we're just laughing.
Yeah.
No, at nothing in particular.
Yeah, just laughing.
We're laughing because, well, stuff had happened, and so we're eating, and there's a whole lot of like, it sounded like a damn porno movie. There's a whole lot of moaning and smacking, and we're just like, and throwing down on the food, and all of a sudden he goes, and he starts putting his hands up, right? And I'm looking at him and I'm laughing. I go, "You're really fucking red." He goes,
"Oh."
And he pulls out this big fucking turkey bone. Like, I don't know where the fuck this bone came from, because of the way it was shaped. It was like, it should have been a fucking blow dart quill, and it was like this fucking long. And he did like this magic sort of key swallower kind of trick where he didn't swallow. Like he stopped. He stopped everything, and he goes. He put his finger up like 1 minute, and he reached the fuck all the way back in his mouth, and he pulled this thing out. And I was like, oh my God. And like the whole table turned around and looked, you know, and they were like, Raymond, are you okay? And he's like, "Mm, yeah, you know, and he just started laughing about it. And then I just busted out laughing and like, oh my God, that was like, that's the same one where like he came back after using the bathroom. He's like, dude, he's like, I just shit out like a 12-inch long turd. It was like this big. It wrapped around the bowl. And I'm like, wow, man, that's awesome. Because like every little thing was just like, oh.
So, speaking of what I'm gonna assume is the devil's lettuce. So
The
speaking of
devil's
that,
lettuce.
we're going to see Bongzilla on Thursday.
Yeah.
I am super fucking excited
Yeah,
about that.
I gotta get tickets still, and I know there's
You
tickets
do,
left
yeah.
for it, but
Yeah.
I gotta get I should get those tonight.
That is a concert that
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to for quite a while.
Yeah,
now.
it's a local band here out of Madison, Wisconsin, and it's a guy we know, and my wife's known him for a long time, and he's really super cool guy.
Yeah.
And the name of the band is Bongzilla. In fact, like we'll put up a link to their new album, Weedsconsin.
Yeah, I was gonna say they just released it. And I think it was November of
Yep.
last year. It's a good album. I was
yeah.
listening to it earlier.
So we'll put a link up to that, and we'll put a link up to the concert info, and maybe throw. Excuse me, Jesus, I got hiccups. Maybe we'll throw a link up to one of the YouTube videos, and then we'll tell Mikey, you know, we're plugging the stuff, and we should at least get like backstage passes or something for that. But yeah, that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah.
We just can't go falling out of the balcony or anything. Where is it playing again? Where are they playing again?
High Noon.
High Noon. Okay, yeah, we're pretty good. We're gonna be on ground level. So
I think we're gonna hit the break here. It is 9 o'clock.
Oh yeah, it is. We came up on 9. That was fast.
Yeah. So going over to the Workbench. Gonna paint up some pretty cool stuff. Looking forward to that.
Yeah. So for if anybody's new out there, like I saw we had somebody earlier. I think they were a new person. Yep. I don't know if it's Dino or Dino, because I had a friend named Dino, and that's how they spelled their name. And I wouldn't want to call somebody Dino, like if their name was Dino.
That's a good, that's a good point.
Stick around. We're going to take a 15-minute break, and this is usually how we do the show. First half of the show is called Fireside Chat, and that's where we sit by the fire and we just bullshit about a lot of nothing.
See the name right up there.
Yep, right up top. And we take a 15-minute break, and then we come back from the Workbench. And on the Workbench, we're going to be doing painting, kit bashing, model building, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
For fantasy role playing, Warhammer 40,000, you name it, and we bash it and build it and paint it. So stick around, and we'll be back in 15 minutes.
See you then.
Thanks. Hey, welcome back to the Black Dragon Tavern. I'm your host, Dante,
I'm your host, Deacon.
and hopefully the mic went hot and you can hear us. Give us a shout in the text in the chat if you cannot hear us.
Nope,
That-
we're good.
Okay. Deacon says we're good. He just ran back to the laptop to check the monitors. The setup of the paint bench is a little bit weird because we're using our cell phones as like sort of our monitors to watch what's going on the stream for chat that comes in. But I don't have Streamlabs OBS on my phone, so they do have a mobile app they just came out with. So I'm going to look into that because allegedly you can control your stream right from there.
That's cool.
And as much as I love Elgato Stream Deck, I think what I need to do is figure out how to put a button on here that shows me the audio levels.
Yeah, you do.
And that would be really good. And I think you can do that. So I'm getting better at using that, but I'm not quite pro level yet. But more exciting news. And Chris, if you're still out there, you'll be excited about this. I'm painting again. Woohoo! So I started painting up a whole bunch of like these are actual Kev Adams gobos from the 90s, GW Citadel Gobos. And I got another one from Spellcrow, a different company. They're out of Poland, right? They were out of, yeah. So it's
All
a
of them are
resin
out of
mini
Poland.
out of
It's
Poland.
cool.
It's a
Jesus
hobgoblin.
Christ.
I'm really excited about painting him up. And then I got 4 models, 3 goblins, a squig, and the hobgoblin. They're all by Spellcrow, Deacon. They're all resin.
Yep.
And they're really freaking excellent sculpts. So they inspired me to start painting again. So that's what I'm going to be working on tonight. It's a whole bunch of little goblins for a little goblin warband that I'm putting together.
I'm working on a lot today. I got 2 sentinels that I want to try and finish up here. Kind of try and put these where the camera can see them.
Yeah, that's always hard. I don't know how much you can see that on the stream.
So I got 2 sentinels that I'm working on, and then I'm not going to pick them all up because there's so many of them, but I've got all of my Catachan infantry here that I want to try and at least get some work done, so...
Yeah, I was going to say, you really should put pictures of those up on Instagram.
I should, yeah. I keep
And I
meaning
know-
to take pictures, and I keep forgetting about it.
I mean, I know they're not done. I know you're still working on them, and you're working on the basing.
I'll put pictures of the ones that are done, but...
Yeah, but they look really good. Like, especially like when they're on a tabletop with all the other models.
Yeah.
That one picture you had though with the workbench, I couldn't tell. I'm like, I see the base. Where's the
Yeah.
Where's the sentinel is like camoed into the rest of the background, which is really effective.
So
I mean, that's what you want if you're gonna paint camo. You want that
Yeah.
shit to disappear and blend right in.
And the funny thing is, I have painted... Oh,
Okay.
jeez. I've painted stuff before that's not camo, but it just seems to blend in. Like, we were playing a game a while back. We had all the minis out on the table and whatnot, and I had my assassin model out there. And I don't think I...
I'm gonna try to rig this cord here just
Yeah,
so.
that's smart. I don't
I
know
need
where
a
it is
clip
right now,
for it.
but I had my assassin model out on the table. It's a pretty cool model. He's it's pretty small. He's a slim guy, and he's holding his rifle like close to his chest.
Is he shady?
Very. He's wearing a black stealth suit.
Nice.
But I did a pretty good job painting him because the way I painted him was I painted him normally, and then I painted a line that just like cut him in half and like bright blue, and I highlighted it in white, and it looks like really weird. And then I put texture paint on the outside of him, and I like put some.
Oh,
on
like a
his
stealth
gun.
suit.
Yeah, and I made it look like he's standing against a broken pillar.
Yeah.
So I made it look like his suit is like changing to match the color of that pillar that
Yeah.
he's standing against.
That's cool.
And I put him in one of the ruined buildings that I made. And you targeted this like random nobody infantry soldier that was standing right next to him, and you went. He's easily the most dangerous model that I had out on the time because of his rules and whatnot.
Yeah.
And you targeted the most basic, not important infantry soldier next to him, and you didn't acknowledge the fact...
I didn't?
Yeah, no, that was you.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't.
You didn't
I don't
target
even
him.
remember that.
So you targeted like all of the models around him, and you didn't even acknowledge the fact that I had him on the board until we were packing up from that game, and I pulled him off the table, and you said, "Oh, where did he come from?" And I was like, It worked. Cool. It worked.
That's really cool. You have to do that in a tournament or something.
Yeah.
That would be neat. All right, I'm going to get started here. I'm
me too.
Excited about this. Let's see if I can pull up the chat here.
No new messages. So, I set a bit of a challenge for myself this week to effectively paint all of my Catachans by Saturday. And I was doing pretty good on that. I managed to get an entire squad painted in just about, I think it was like 3 hours or so. But I don't know if I told you this, I had to give up on that challenge.
How come?
Because in the end, well, not in the end, it was like Wednesday or Thursday, I kind of realized, like, okay, I don't really want to paint these anymore. This is like, that whole challenge had kind of like taken away the fun of painting it. It made it too much like a chore. Like,
the thrill was gone.
Yeah, it was like, okay, I have to sit down and I have to paint these. You know, if I can like get them done in like this amount of time, if I sit down and paint them, and it's like, at that point, you know, why do the challenge if it's not fun anymore? So
I can understand that.
I called it there. I made a slightly new challenge for myself. I'd not really call it a challenge, just a thing. So my new goal was to just paint by Saturday. And I just see what I could do in this amount of time.
I can totally understand that. Like it's real easy to be enthused about something that monumental, and you start off and you make good progress, and you may knock out several, but then at a certain point you almost always burn out your stamina, and then it's like, not you
but you
specifically,
in the general.
yeah, you in the larger sense, and then then you're like, damn, okay, I've been doing the same thing for like how fucking long now?
Yeah. So gave up on the original challenge because
got insane detail.
It just wasn't that fun anymore.
Detail.
The funny
insane
thing
detail,
is,
and the
after
psycho.
I gave up on that challenge, after I kind of put it down because it really wasn't enjoyable, I started getting more work done on them. Because I wasn't trying to force myself to be like, okay, you have to rush through and like get X amount done by this time, and you need to like stick to this, and you need to have this timer going.
Right.
So I got more done when I wasn't trying to challenge myself.
Like I said, I get it. I totally get it. I can't blame you.
The funny thing is, I came up with the basing scheme for these guys. I'm gonna base them. Came up for that during when I was still doing that. And I chose quite possibly the least efficient basing scheme that I could have chosen for a timed challenge.
Huh.
So it was like, okay, I'm going to try and get these done by a specific day and a specific time. How can I make these bases take like so long to paint,
Right.
So I'm using this texture paint, that Sterling Battlemire, and I'm painting over it because I don't like the original color that it comes in. I mean, I like it, but not for this.
Well, that's a shame. So you put all that work into it, and now you're like, nope.
No, well, I hadn't had any of them based until I came up with this scheme, because I wasn't sure what I was gonna do. So I'm putting this Sterling Battlemire down, painting over it. I have to wait for the texture to dry, painting over that with that really nice Vallejo charred brown.
Yeah.
And
I love that stuff.
Yep, it is so nice.
That's my magic color. That like for me is like, some people have a utility color that like they use for everything, and it's just like,
it's a good color.
Can't stop talking about that brown.
Yep,
it's such a good one.
So
I'm not using that today though. I'm using Monster Brown by Army Painter on the leather for these Scabos because it's a lighter shade, and when I add a dark wash to it, it really lends itself well to picking up the recesses, the wash, and it sets this brown off beautifully.
Yeah. So listen to this. This is the basing process for these guys. Texture paint. Wait for that to dry. Paint it a different color. Wait for that to dry. two different dry brushes. I dry brush it in kind of like a yellowy orangey brown, and then I dry brush it again in like a just pale brown, then tufts, then flocking, and then
What the flock?
yeah, what the flock, and then putting those aquarium plants on there, and then painting the aquarium plants, and it takes so long.
But it's so worth it because those look really cool.
It is so worth it in the end, I think, but oh my god, is it annoying.
I'll tell you what I'm really interested in because I was fascinated by this when you mentioned it, and I was really impressed that you included it as one of the goals you wanted to accomplish as part of this foray into doing this massive amount of painting, and that was you said, I want to push myself and challenge myself to see what new kind of techniques I can learn, that work or that I can do. What came out of that? What did you learn from this experiment other than it was a fuck ton of work?
So, I'm not really sure what I learned. Like, I've definitely... I don't know if I'd say I'd learned any new techniques, necessarily. But it's weird. Like, I feel like I've learned things without learning, anything new, Like, some of this...
Some intangible things,
Intangible?
Like you can't really get a grasp on them, but
Yeah.
you learned something?
Yeah, exactly.
Huh.
So,
I'd love to hear you try to elaborate on those. You you don't have to. I don't want to put you on the spot. It's
no,
more.
I know.
For me, it's.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of, how to describe it because it is really cool. Oh, fuck. That's great.
What's that?
This dude has a strap on the underside of one of his guns, and it's just broken off here, so I gotta glue that back in place.
Alright, I think I'm going to buzz through and do all the leather on these.
Awesome. So, I guess one of the things I learned is kind of useless now that I've already, bought, all of this massive range of paints that I have. But one of the things that I kind of learned was, I don't really need a whole lot of paints. Because,
Welcome to art.
yeah. So for these guys, I can get away with, just a few colors, Pulling out what I used for them.
So the nice thing in art college was the foundations of an art education usually include, especially if you're going to a college of fine arts like I did, they focus on teaching you the techniques.
Yeah.
So, most of the people that went there got in on some sort of scholarship or grant, and they had some natural ability, some natural talent, right? And that's kind of that's how the college screened the students. Not just anybody could go, and I know that might sound elitist or it might sound snobbish, but they really want to make sure that they're choosing their student body based on people who they feel who have natural talent, who are going to be able to take that to the next step, and who will really benefit. So I got in on a grant, I got in on a scholarship, I took in a portfolio of the work that I had done, and they're like, we'd like to pay for part of your school based on what you've shown us. And I'm like, you can pay for all of it if you want, because my parents weren't helping. Anyway, I'm digressing. I apologize. But the beauty of the curriculum was you got the foundational courses. So you learn color theory. You learn how to work with just a handful, literally 5 or 6 different types of colors, and how to make those, how to make colors from there, derivatives, the secondaries and the tertiaries and so on from the color wheel. And in oil painting, there are some colors that have been around for centuries that are just everybody, how Nuln Oil, everybody who paints GW stuff has to have Nuln Oil or Blood for the Blood God, or you have
Prussian blue,
Abaddon black. There are certain things that you just have. So ultramarine, not space marine, ultramarine, cadmium red. They're these foundational oil colors. Titanium white. That's right.
Prussian
There's
blue,
zinc white too, but like
yeah,
Prussian blue's another good one.
it's the brown,
Burnt ochre,
burnt
and then
umber.
there's
Burnt umber, is that it?
there's ochre, there's burnt ochre, and then there's umber and
Yeah.
burnt umber.
Um,
So, these foundational colors will literally help you make almost every color under the rainbow.
yeah,
And the old masters knew this, and they were, that's why they're called masters. They'd mix that shit up. Like, it wasn't like today you can go into a GW store and you're like, I want this very specific shade of purple to go for my, infantry, and it's pre-mixed. Now, listen, I love that. I love having the freedom
it's
of going
very
into.
convenient.
Yeah, I love the freedom of having going into a hobby store or a game store and being able to pick a color off the shelf and not have to worry about mixing it. I mean, look at the palette, the color palette I have here on my workbench. But there's something so satisfying about being able to mix a custom color,
Yeah,
that you didn't have in your
I can get
palette.
an entire squad done with like just these colors, and I could even cut some out of here if I really wanted to. But like, just these ones here, I can get like an entire squad done.
I love chatting with people online in forums, like the forums that we belong to, a lot of the threads we belong to and groups we belong to for either 40K or mini painter groups, because especially when new people come along and they don't know this stuff, I spent so much money in school on that background
That you
it's
just
like,
want an excuse to use it.
well, not necessarily an excuse to use it, but I like that I've got the knowledge, and I speak from experience and knowledge, and I know this is how you do it, this is how you make this color, or this is, and it's not like trying to be a snob. It's like, this is so freaking cool to me. I love it so much. I'm gonna help you do this because I want you to have the same level of enjoyment that I got out of it. Knowledge should be shared. I mean, I think that's an important thing to me. It's not just like, okay, I spent a ton of money to go to school for this and I'm going to keep it all to myself. Mine. I'm going to show you what I learned.
Yeah.
Because if it makes you happy and helps enrich your life, then it was worth it. And, like the question I asked you, it may come to you, like lessons that you learn. Like, it may come to you days from now. You'll be like, oh, hey, Dad, I was thinking about that question you asked, and I was thinking about those minis I painted, and here's a lesson that I learned.
Here's one that I learned that I guess I kind of already knew, but like, I didn't really think about a whole lot. I can get a hell of a lot more done production lining things in small batches rather than doing like big production lines. Like, I've got 30 infantry soldiers out here, and I tried doing it like, okay, I'm going to paint all the silver on all of them, and then I'm going to paint all of the like leather bits on all of them, and then I'm going to do all of, whatever the next color is.
Yeah.
And it took ages, and then I focused it down to a smaller size, like, okay, I'm only going to do 10 models here. So I'm going to do all of the silver on just these 10 models, or I'm going to do all of the whatever on just these 10 models. And I got it done way faster that way.
Yeah, yep. It's not quite the technique I was going to describe. I'll tell you about it in a minute, but there's, I think a large part of that what helps motivate you when you're working in a smaller batch is the more immediate payoff. The satisfaction you get from seeing the accomplishment a lot. That's exactly right. A lot faster than doing a batch of 30 or 50 or whatever. You'll get there eventually, but it gets tedious. Let's be honest. It's like, God, Jesus Christ, I got to do 6 more buttons on another coat, 6 more buttons on another coat. It's like you get tired of doing buttons after a while.
Okay, there's the lesson that I guess I learned. Like, you don't really need detail. And I mean, like,
Well, we can agree to disagree on that.
Well, okay, to a
But,
degree.
like,
I mean, you also paint a lot of different things than I do. To steal somebody's line, you don't paint armies. It's like you paint details. You paint like little tiny scenery details.
yes.
And for what you do, that works, and that's really awesome. But that's not really what I'm doing. So like,
Yeah,
if
I
I
get
throw
it.
down, look at this. If I just drop this on the table, you're not gonna be like, if I had it fully painted, you're not really gonna go in and be like, oh my god, what the fuck is wrong with you? You didn't paint every single button on every pouch on them.
That's
You know,
true.
you're gonna be like, wow, you got all those painted? That's really cool. So you can get away with like skipping details. Like, you don't need to, for big like things like infantry and whatnot, you don't need to paint all of the buttons on their pouches, and you don't need to paint like, you know, whatever. You don't need to paint like all the intricate details like that. And maybe you do on like the characters or like the really like kind of big important models in your army. But on things like infantry, you don't really need all of those tiny details, and they take up time that you could be using to, you know, just get them done.
That's true. I would never say that to your face.
Uh-huh. So, I guess if I kind of realized, like, okay, I can get these guys done, and, this goes for all armies that I've been painting. Whether it's the Black Templars, or the Ultramarines, or whoever. The reason it takes me so long to paint is, like, okay, one model, I gotta do the pouches, then I gotta highlight the pouches, then I have to do the buttons on the pouches, and then I have to do, like, the scopes on the guns, and then I have to do this and that. When I could just be like,
Cat hair alert.
cat hair, yuck. When I could just be like, okay, infantry squad, I'm gonna like do the stuff here, and then it's done, you know?
But what I like about you though, Deacon, is that like you usually go back and you'll detail things. You'll
Yeah.
be like, I painted this, and then I was looking at it, and that's where inspiration comes from. That's like when you're inspired. You go back and you look at it, and you're like, and I realized I could add this little embellishment, or I could do this, or I could do that, and that's where your models really pop because
Yeah.
they're not just the same color scheme for a squad. That not that there's anything wrong with that, but like you're kind of like me in that respect, and like I can do better. I can there's other things I can do here.
Yeah.
It may not necessarily be better.
And the thing I guess that I'm trying to work towards is just getting the models overall finished before I go in and start doing that.
Right.
Because I
Well-
found that it helps. It helps me go back later on and say, okay, now I can do all this other cool shit with them. Because if I just leave them like half painted, okay, there's only like a base coat on here and then like, one other color, then before I paint all those details, I gotta get through the slog of just painting the rest of the model.
Right.
So if I just like kind of set myself to it and get the whole army done or whatever, then when I see that army out on the table, like even if it's on the game table, like if I've just got them sitting out, I'll be like, shit, that's really cool. Just seeing the whole thing painted on the table, and that'll make me want to go in and really pick out those like smaller details after I get the
Yeah.
whole thing painted,
I think I'm actually gonna break out my paint handle for this.
Awesome.
I realized, like, duh, I got two of them. I should be using them.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Well, this, again, this touches on the whole subject of, like, what is going to make you happy? What's going to satisfy you in terms of your level of painting? And when I say level of painting, I'm talking about basic, tabletop, or, collector. And maybe there might be other... Everybody has their own opinion, and there
I'll never
are...
be satisfied.
Yeah.
So
Thanks, Hamilton.
I say that as a joke, but like in a way that's kind of just true. That's how I feel about my minis. Is like I'm never really satisfied with them.
Yeah,
'Cause, like,
I get it.
I'll
You know,
paint.
I think
and-
every many, even Peter Lee used to say
Yeah.
that, like, he's always going back and criticizing his own work and looking at it. I could have done this better. I could have done that better.
Yeah, so it's like for every model that I do, it could be like the best model that I'll paint, and I'll be happy with it. I'll be like, at the end of it, I'm not. When I say I'm not satisfied with it, I don't mean that I'm just like, oh, this looks like crap. I should have done
you're
that.
just being critical of your own work. The artist is always the harshest on their own work. The artist is always their biggest critic.
So I'll go back and I'll be like, okay, I did a really good job with this mini, but I could have done this differently, or I could have done this better, or whatever.
Yeah.
So.
But so standards, like.
Yeah.
You may be like, I just want to get them so they look decent, so they got color on them, and I want to get them on the table, and that may or may not mean washes. It may just be painting out the blocks.
Here's another thing that I was talking about when I was talking about details. Take a look when you have a minute at the barrel of this guy's gun. Don't pick it up by the barrel because the paint's still kind of wet. But
okay, let me finish this boot.
All right. The barrel on his gun has a little divot on the underside of the barrel. There's it's green for the body, and then there's silver on the barrel, and then there's another green bit near the tip of the barrel.
Okay.
That farthest green bit, there's a little divot on the underside where the green, I think it's metal painted green, kind of ends, and I could I could go back in there with the Psycho and really just do a line of silver in there so that you could see,
Yeah.
And a bit where the barrel pokes out under that green hood. I could go back in there with the Psycho and just really get in there and do that tiny little detail that nobody's ever going to see. But I don't need to.
Yeah.
Nobody, unless these minis are being judged in a competition, which they're not, nobody's gonna see that. So
I'm judging them.
Yeah. So
no,
I've kind of learned to stop painting details like that.
I don't judge as many as I pick out the spots where he misses because I use the super goggles.
I also, and this isn't necessarily a thing I learned in this challenge, but just something that I kind of learned overall, is I just kind of stopped painting areas that nobody would see. So, I painted the inside, these tanks, the Space Marines, called Rhinos. I painted the inside of a couple of those, and then I put the hatches on, and I glued them shut. And nobody is ever gonna see that inside panel on the Rhino.
And it's a shame because you were doing really cool work on that.
Yeah, I was. And it does kind of suck because, again, nobody's ever gonna see it. It's glued in there.
Right, but that comes down to modeling. That's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
How much do you want to kit bash the model so that you can, magnetize it, for example, so that, you can see in there.
Yeah, that's true. But,
classic model builders, when they're doing tanks and all that kind of stuff, a lot of times the model itself is made to either be open, exposed, or if it's not, then you don't have to worry about that level of detail. But, I mean, especially planes, oh my god, the hydraulics for the wheels, build one of those, and then you'll be like, nobody will ever see this. And then when you see one painted, you're like, holy shit, you can see up inside of the, I don't know what they call it when the wheel folds back and goes up into the body of the plane, but where all those, avionics are, or whatever, hydraulics or whatever.
Oh, here's a lesson that I kind of learned that I was painting these. I'm starting to think of some that are I wouldn't really call them lessons, but just things that
observations.
Observations, that I could do to make myself paint faster. Not necessarily better, but faster, because that's what I was trying to experiment with. And one of the things that I kind of noticed about painting these guys in the pursuit of doing it fast was I don't really have to clean up a lot of mistakes. Because, sure, there's an area where I got, a single dot of green on this silver, but it's on a side that, like, unless you're holding the mini in a very specific, like, you'd have to be holding the mini upside down and looking at it with a flashlight and magnifiers, and then you'd
Like
see the dot that I messed
super
up.
goggles?
Mm-hmm. And this is what annoys me. So, unless you're holding it, like, at a very specific angle with a flashlight and goggles, you're not going to see the spot that I messed up on. And I don't really have to, like, because these guys, I'm just going for a basic, like, tabletop standard quality.
Yeah. No, I totally get it.
So, for these, I don't really care if I mess up on a spot like that. Sure, if I get the color, like, on the guy's face or whatever, then I'll go back and fix that up. But, other than that, it's not that big of a deal.
Okay, it's confession time. I have some things to confess. In the early days of painting, like, nobody really gave a shit. And I was a bad painter. I say that because that's self-criticism. It's pretty harsh. People would see the stuff that I painted and they would go, "Oh my God, that's so cool. That's so tiny. How did you get the detail on there?" And they would be impressed. And I can't believe you painted that. That's so tiny. That those miniatures, right? I look at them now and I'm like, this looks like my dog fucking shit it out. It's such a bad paint job. And I'll show you some of that.
I think you have shown me some of them.
And then I look at my minis over the years. Well, compared to what I can do now, right? Like,
yeah.
I look at the minis over the years and it's like I've come a long way. But it's practice. It's all practice, right? You don't get good by sitting on your ass and not lifting a brush. You get good by continually painting and trying new techniques and improving. I mean, that's really... Some people never, some people say they never improve, but I don't know how much they apply themselves or not.
Apply yourself, Jesse.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you gotta do Jesse Pinkman. Apply yourself. But the whole point is, I remember painting in groups of people when I got to that point, and I know they meant well, but I'm even guilty of this, and this is communication style, and it takes a metric fuck ton of attention to stop yourself from communicating in this manner, because a lot of people do it, and it's called prescriptive communication. That means you're prescribing, you're telling people what they should do, and it starts off with, that looks really good. You should fill in the blank.
Yeah.
And I know they mean well. I mean well. I do it. I slip up. I still say that to people, but I try to be consciously aware of that and try not to say it, rather than say you should, because it makes it sound like they failed, right? So rather than say you should, I have taken to saying, have you considered? Have you ever thought about? What do you think?
Really good.
What do you think it would look like if you did this? But I would think about the criticisms, like, and they're not negative criticisms.
They're just criticisms.
But then it occurred to me as I was just thinking of this recently too. So then I realized, like, I really shouldn't have been so offended by that. And really, I could have just ended it all with one quick sentence, like, that's all I can do. I did my best. I don't know how to do that. Would you like to show me?
Yeah.
Because at that point, it's like when people, and like I said, if they're trying to be helpful, that's fantastic. I cannot blame them for that. They're excited, or they like it, and but that's an opportunity. That's a learning opportunity, rather than telling somebody you should do this, you should, or if you're going to say that, show them how to do it. Say, are you familiar with that technique? Do you know how to do it? Would you like me to show you?
Yeah.
Because it's such a good hobby, and there's so many people that are into it, so many people who are really good at it. There should be no reason why we're not helping other people learn and grow.
Yep.
let's see. Do I want to do them? I'm going to do those in other colors, I think. That's good for him. What happened to our chat? Where's our peeps? Where all our peoples
Our
at?
peeps are gone.
That's a shame. Hopefully we're not that boring. But, you know, if chat about virtually nothing isn't your thing, I totally get it.
Yep.
So here's another interesting observation. Speaking of observations, it's been a week, and these bases are still tacky.
These bases.
I don't know if it's the paint or if it's
That's really weird.
if it's the resin minis. It doesn't seem well. The bases are all the same, so that wouldn't explain really why some of the bases feel tacky and some don't.
Did they come with bases, or are those just bases you had?
No, these are bases I had.
So it'd probably be the paint then, not the resin.
Well, that's why I
Yeah.
reversed what I was starting to say, because I realized, no, it can't be the bases.
Hey, Aaron.
because
Aaron's still here.
Hey, Aaron, you're never satisfied with it. Yeah, see, that's exactly what I'm saying, Aaron. Like, people, the artist is always their own harshest critic. And
Everyone's a critic.
everyone's a critic. Okay, Squidward. You're always looking at things through that filter of the artist. You're always looking at it from a different angle or different perspective. That's another thing too. Like, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say something that might be a little controversial, but I think artists are like the original poster children for ADD. I think because there's so much creative energy going on in their mind's eye and their brains and how they see the world, and they turn things upside down and they look at them differently than the average person, than like the non-artist.
Yeah.
And it's that stimulation, that visual stimulation, that triggers all these thoughts of how to interpret a thing. You know, like, you see an apple and I see an apple, we're looking at the same object, but I may have a very different interpretation of that apple, you know, than you. When it comes to, if somebody says, paint that apple, I'd pull a Dali, you know. I think part of me would want to pull a Dali and actually pick the apple up and paint it on the apple, right? Whereas, like, you'd probably sit down with a, you know, canvas or whatever and paint a facsimile of the apple. I'm just being hypothetical. I'm not saying that's exactly what you would do, but
Yeah.
I guarantee, you know, you put 10 people in a room, you're going to get 10 different apples,
Not
right?
sure if he saw his message. He said, "I'm always tacky too."
Yeah, it's this paint. I got this can of Army Painter brand spray paint. It's a really nice gray. It's a really lovely neutral gray, which I like for painting models because you can really go super dark or super light with your hues that you put over it.
Yeah.
You know, whereas like if you prime in white, everything's going to automatically come out a little brighter because the undercoating is white. And if you prime in black, everything's going to be toned down and subdued because it's tempered by the dark primer. But
The dark primer. I'm pretty sure I fought him in Dark Souls.
that would be a good title for a sci-fi, wouldn't it? The Dark Primer. Oh, I know what I'm going to call the Dark Primer.
What?
I can't tell you. It's RPG. It's our game. It's Dante's game related. but if you hear that come up, you'll be like, that's what you mentioned on the live stream. What would you think, Deacon, about if we tried to give running an RPG online a shot, like, and live stream it?
What do you mean running it online?
Like if I ran, it wouldn't necessarily have to be that. Like maybe,
No, not Roll20 specifically, but like an online RPG system like that, or running it online, as in running it and broadcasting it online.
Yeah, like kind of the way our buddy Joe does on 20 Sides to Every Story. He's running.
Okay, so no. A virtual game, then, is what you're saying. I'm asking, do you mean like a virtual game, or having people sitting around the table and streaming that?
No, like I guess virtual from different locations.
I don't know.
Would you give it a try?
I'd give it a try, but I'm not a big fan of virtual games. Well,
that's fair enough. I get that, but like
virtual role-playing games. I feel that it takes out, like, the whole kind of social aspect of it. Even though you're, still being social and you're talking to the people there, it takes away from that kind of, like, in-person, hanging out, playing a game,
Sure. No, I totally get it. I was pretty candid about how I felt about it. I said I thought it was like soul sucking.
Yeah.
There was no soul in it. We tried to run online. We used Roll20. Didn't go well because I have a homebrew, and Roll20 doesn't lend itself very well to that. Like, it's set up really nice if you have D&D and you're playing straight up D&D with their materials, their rules.
Yep.
But like for a homebrew like mine, not so much. You have to do a lot of customization. And before you can even really hit the good stuff, you got to pay $149 or whatever it is for the year to get access to be able to do that. And it wasn't at the time like something I could afford to do.
Yeah.
So, because I don't think I was working. Anyway, I've been really reconsidering giving that a try, because I think that might make for something interesting on the stream, on the channel.
Yeah.
I think there would be an inherent challenge having people around the table. We could do it. Try to do like Critical Role style.
Well, Critical Role style also
Primer is an awesome time travel sci-fi movie. Where's that at, Aaron? He's a totally great squirrel. Where's Primer? Is that on Netflix or? He's got a couple different things going on here. What do you think? Look at this helmet this Gabo's wearing.
Hold on a second, I have to type a message out here real quick.
I'll have to look that up after the stream. It's called Primer.
Pings from everywhere. Holy crap.
You're getting what? Straps.
Sorry, I got like a ton of messages out of nowhere.
No straps.
It went from like nobody's saying anything on any servers I'm on to like, oh hey, everybody's talking. Look at his helmet. No,
I think that's Netflix. Okay, I'll check that out. I'll see if I can find it on there. Yeah, you think that's metal or is that cloth?
Oh, that's
like,
cloth. Cloth.
There's two. Look at there's two things he's wearing though.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a mantle, and then he's got like a coif. But I don't know if the front part of it, like this, is like Roman almost the way it's shaped.
Yeah, yeah, but like,
so is that metal?
No.
You think that's all cloth, leather?
Because he's got a thing that goes like here,
mantle.
And then he's got the helmet on top of it, and the helmet, looking at it, it goes down here, and then there's a part that comes back and it sits on there, like almost if I had my hand, like,
a double
here,
layered.
and then it just sits on it like that, but it's folded back, and I can see folds in it like cloth.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
So it's got to be.
I get that on the back, but like, yeah. All right. So maybe I'll do that.
What would actually happen if some guys created a time machine in their garage? Wasn't that just Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
Excellent. I don't remember how that worked. No, Rufus came down. They got in the phone booth.
Yep.
And he told them they had the
style.
Yeah.
What fucker. That's annoying.
It's okay. You don't have to be that upset about it, Deacon. It's only
No, it turns out my brush didn't dry enough.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, I put this paint on there, and it's like, oh, you've watered down the paint, I see.
Oh, snap. How the hell did I miss that?
Amazon Prime Video Rental.
Oh, okay. We got that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Aaron. I'll put that on the list. Maybe we could watch that like during the week and then come back next week and talk about it.
Yeah.
I totally missed this dude's ear. I don't even know how I did that.
Yeah, at least you noticed it now.
Yeah.
Rather than like when you're going to spray it for varnish, you know? Or when you're going to varnish it.
That's true. I love these Army Painter brushes. I don't get any kind of kickbacks from them. Just for clarity.
This is not sponsored. I'll repeat that again. Not sponsored.
Yeah, this video is not sponsored by anybody.
We both use them, right?
Yeah.
And I gotta agree. I have been loving these brushes. However, if you would like to sponsor us, reach out and we'll get back to you. So,
call me.
What's your favorite gloss coat for minis? This is a matte varnish house.
So, okay. He says this is a matte varnish house, but...
Oh, is it? Is it not?
Well, yes. Yes, but there are some exceptions to that.
Yeah, if you're doing like gems or bottles, then gloss varnish is really good.
Yeah, I kind of like what's interesting is like a lot of the new paint formulations that are so I don't blind myself here and I don't blind the audience. Put that up there maybe. Yeah, there we go. A lot of the new paint formulations are the acrylic ones, which is really nice because you used to have to do this in enamel if you really wanted that gloss coat, which takes me all the way back to my first days of painting. We painted in Testors enamel paints, so everything was shiny and looked like it had 3 layers of lipstick on. It was not pretty. It was like a pig with lipstick. Anyway, the new paint formulations that are done in acrylics now, a lot of them have a gloss finish. So if you're using a paint called Blood for the Blood God, for example, that's made by Games Workshop,
wow,
the finish comes out glossy as is. And the reason hold on, let me finish. The reason I bring this up is there are a lot of people who paint their minis and then they don't coat them, they don't protect them with like a sealer. So you would get that natural gloss finish. There are other ones like, was it Tesseract? What is it? Tesseract Glow that has a glossy finish. There's I thought it did. It looked like it did. And then what's the Nurgle's Rot?
Yep.
Nurgle's Rot that has a glossy finish. But like if you're doing miniatures, I'd recommend getting a can of like Krylon Believe it or not, it's a good brand. I don't know if GW makes a can of gloss
They
varnish.
do, and we got it. No, we got their can of matte.
We
varnish.
got the matte varnish because we're a matte household mostly.
Yeah.
Most of the miniatures that we do, like 99.9% of the stuff that we do, whether it's terrain or minis, we do in a matte varnish. And so that can either be like Krylon or like I like GW's technical Storm Shield. That's a brush on that works really well for little pieces. But for minis, I like to hit them with a can. But if you're looking for a gloss finish, one of the hardest ones to find, believe it or not, is a brush on by Testers. It's in a little tiny bottle, and I don't know if they ever really made it in a bigger size than that. You might be able to find a can. They make a really excellent product. Most important thing with your varnish is whether they're matte or gloss. You want to test them out on a sprue. You know, get yourself a old sprue that like you've taken the minis off of. Paint it. Excuse me. Let the paint dry, and then hit it with your varnish. And you want to make sure that it's not going to be gummy, sticky. You want to make sure it's not going to be yellow. And you don't want it to be extra thick. Like you don't want it to run because it will dribble down like molasses and then pool.
Get rid of all the details on your mini real fast.
So like for small glossy details, I would go with a brush on.
Yeah.
And I again, like in the spirit of full disclosure, I'm not paid or anything by Army Painter. I don't get any kickbacks. I was a retailer online with a game store online, so I would get stuff at wholesale. So I have, I love the. I should move this. I want to move this camera, but I don't want to screw around with setting it back up. I'll take a picture and I'll post a picture up on Instagram of my paint collection, and it's 99.9% Army Painter paints. But I'm looking at, I've got Vallejo, or Vallejo as some people say. It's a Spanish word, so it's Vallejo. I've got GW paints here. I even, believe it or not, I've got some original Ral Partha paints from like 30 years ago that are still holding up pretty strong. Old Citadel pot paints. You know, I just got a bunch of stuff. So the gloss that I have is, I think I've actually got it here. It's Army Painter. I don't know if you can see that on the. There's a little bit of a delay between me holding this up and. This is Army Painter Gloss Varnish, and it's nice. It does look a little yellow in the bottle, so you've got to shake it up really well. So far, I found that it does not stain the mini yellow over time. But there's a number of other paint brands out there now, you know, that I'm sure you could find a gloss varnish in if you wanted to do like little details on a model, like a little pool of water or what have you. Or a little bottle, like you brought up earlier, Deacon, a little potion bottle.
I should be doing this over the trash.
Oh, I know where there's a pretty good picture of the paints that I have. It's on our Facebook page. It was on one of the events. It was the cover photo for one of the events, one of the broadcast events that I just posted a couple weeks back. I can't remember what the episode number was, but the episode title was "You're Gonna Need a Bigger Bench," which was directed at my streaming buddy over here, Deacon, because he was running out of room over there at one point.
At one point, that's just normal. Oh my god, I made no progress on that.
So this has taken me a lot longer than I wanted to, because I'm being super cautious around the face here.
Alright. Drilling that barrel was not fun.
What were you doing, drilling it?
Yeah, it's this grenade launcher, but I started drilling it, and I realized, like, as soon as I started, that's metal.
Oh, seriously? A metal barrel?
Mm-hmm.
Where's the barrel from?
Fuck if I know. I think it's an orc kit. It's like an orc shooter, but I scraped the orc logo off of it, and it makes a really cool grenade launcher. So, all of the if you use the grenade launchers that they come with in the kit, it's like, I wonder if I have one out here. No, it doesn't look like. Oh, I do. Perfect. Here, if you use the grenade launchers that come in the kit, they're like this.
Oh, yeah, okay.
They're like the ones that have the drum underneath it, and there's like 6 that you fire at a time.
Okay.
But I was thinking, you know, these guys are like, they're like space Vietnam, you know? They're fighting in the jungle, and that just looks kind of out of place. But this orc gun, this random fucking orc gun that I got in a bits box from Noble Knight, I scraped the orc logos off of it, and it looks just like one of the ones that they use in the movies and in the real war.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the M2, whatever it is, 203 or... I can't remember. I'm going to get... I can just see people online going, oh, it's the M blah, 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 blah. Don't you know you're in... No, I don't. I don't know my, military grade, what the hell was it? Handheld mortar launchers. Basically, like, it was the one that the guy used in Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
Heart of Darkness. You hear him? Yeah, I hear him.
Well, if you look at him, that's actually what I modeled this guy after.
Oh, I totally know.
Yeah.
That. Yeah.
The M79 grenade launcher. This one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Thunk.
Yep.
With that, like, unmistakable thunk.
The funny thing is, there's this game that I was telling you about that I think I got it for you, and I can't remember. But Rising Storm 2 Vietnam. And it's a Vietnam War FPS game. And it's cool because it's one of the few Vietnam War FPS games that I've found. There's not a whole lot of games that take place in that war.
Well, it's political, probably.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bad That's not the only war. Let me preface this by saying it's not the only war, but there's a lot of bad shit that happened there that was broadcast. That was one of the first wars to be broadcast live.
Yeah.
In many, like, respects.
But I mean, there are, like, if you think of all the fucked up stuff that's happened during wars, you'd think, like, okay, well, a lot of messed up stuff happened oh my god, I can't talk, in the Middle East too,
Oh, absolutely.
And there are more games than I could count that take place in the Middle East.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Somewhere along the way, society's attitudes changed towards that, but Vietnam and the Vietnam vets the vets that came home have pretty much always been shit on in this country by their government, by their fellow country people.
But anyways, this game, Rising Storm 2 Vietnam, it's a really cool FPS game that takes place during that war, and you can use that in there, the M79. And let me tell you, it is so fun to use. It's tricky because it's actual,
Tricky.
it is a projectile-based weapon. It's not hit scan. Do you know that?
Yeah.
So it's not a hit scan weapon. You actually need to aim it and try to figure out, okay, if I fire at this angle, will it go where I want it to go? But you can...
Physics.
Physics. When my teacher said that we'd use it in the real life, that must have been what he meant. Using it to figure out video games. But it's really cool because the class that uses it, the engineer, it's probably, like, the least chosen weapon in that class, because the engineer's other weapon choice is the flamethrower, which is, like, infinitely cooler. But you can get...
Yeah, that one you gotta get a little more up close and personal, though.
Yeah, but a lot of the maps, well, some of the maps, have really good areas for that. Like, I think it's Hill 937 is one of the maps, and it's the classic like Hamburger Hill, you know. And there are a whole bunch of tunnel networks that you can go in.
You're talking Walter Sobchak territory now.
Yeah. There are a whole bunch of tunnel networks that you can go in, and when you have the flamethrower in those, it's like...
In your infinite wisdom, you saw fit to take the young man, charge Hill 937. I can't remember what he said exactly,
Yeah.
but...
When you have the flamethrower in there, it's like you can kill off entire squads at a time. It's ridiculous. But when you're playing as the engineer, if you choose the grenade launcher, you can choose different loadouts for it. So you can fire smoke grenades if you want to provide cover for people. So if you're like trying to push towards an objective, you can fire smoke grenades to cover them, or you could just fire like frag grenades out of it and have more grenades than normal, but you're limited to just that. Or if you are really messed up, you could choose less grenades, but one of the grenades you get is a white phosphorus grenade that you can launch. And that is deadly.
So, yeah. You know that's illegal and
Yep.
violates the Geneva Convention.
Yep.
And you know that, well, alright, we'll leave it at that. There's a certain country that uses those. And we turn our backs to it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not condoning the use of it. I'm saying in the game specifically. That's. Did you mess up on the lenses on there?
No. It's just time to, I'm getting in for some super detail here.
Oh, what detail?
Just the rims around these boots. I don't want to, like I said, I've done such a good job of keeping the paints staying in the lines. I don't want to spill shit all over the skin if I can avoid it and go back and do touch-ups.
So wait, what part of the boot are you painting?
Just, you know, the tops where they roll like a cuff.
You doing that like a different color?
I'm doing a real basic on this. I'm going to do this, it's called Monster Brown, and then I'm going to do, I think I might use either the brown tone or the strong tone as a wash. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to highlight.
Yeah.
And that works for me, and I'll be happy because I'm not doing collector quality on these.
Yeah. Oh,
but I want them to look fun. I want them to look worn. I want them to look, you know...
No, I totally get it.
Believable, not like, you know, those boots look brand new. And
back to what we were talking about earlier with minis and whatnot, washes are one of the things I was really messing around with. And I kind of realized, like, okay, I don't really need, like, a wash in every color. Because a lot of these, I can get away with just doing, like, one wash all over the mini.
Oh my god, I've been trying to tell you that for years.
Yeah, but since when do I listen to you?
It's true.
So, like, what I was doing, or what I was about to do originally with these was, I've got these, they're all wearing these, like, kind of standard, like, military shirt type things. And, you know, it's like a tank top and a vest, like a bulletproof vest or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And it's just that kind of, like, standard equipment. And I was like, okay, I'm going to paint the vest in one color, and I'm going to paint the shirt in a different shade of green.
Actually, aren't those, like, tack vests?
So, yeah, they are.
Yeah, I don't... yeah.
But I was thinking,
I mean,
like...
they could be bulletproof. I don't know. I mean, it's 40K.
Yeah. It's 40K. They're probably, like, you know, nuclear anti-gravity bomb-proof or whatever. Oh, wait, no. This is the Guard. They get the shitty equipment. They're probably, like, you know, they just went to, like, Cabela's or something and picked out some
Halloween
decent-looking
Express.
vests. Yeah. So... yeah, I was originally going to do, like, okay, the shirt is going to be one shade of green, and the vest is going to be a different shade of green, And then I'm going to shade them both with a shade that I have called a Thonian Camo shade, which is like a kind of green. It's green, but not like vibrant green, you know?
This is starting to sound like an erotic novel, 50 Shades of Green.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to paint in like this shade and then this shade and then do this wash over it. And then I started painting and I'm like, okay, I can just paint these both in like the same color of green and then just throw a wash over it and it'll still look good. But now I spend like, 5 less minutes per model. Or however long it would take me to paint that, you know?
You know, I'm totally going to name one of these episodes now 50 Shades of Green.
That came up in an earlier episode when we were painting. What color was it?
Yeah.
You made the same joke with a different color.
I don't remember, but not surprising.
And you were like, if we ever make our own paint line, that's going to be like the first one that we...
Oh, damn, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
What was that? If I said, if we ever make our own paint line, I'm going to have one called 50 Shades of whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it wasn't gray, because I think that would have been too obvious.
Yeah. And it wasn't green either. It's like, what the fuck was it?
I don't remember now.
Blue? Was it blue because I have all those different shades of blue? Or like... Shit, I'm trying to think of what it was.
That's your homework for the week. Go back and watch every episode and then come back and tell me what it was.
I don't have time.
I'm just kidding. I'm not going to make you do that. Are you kidding me? Not this week, anyway.
Yeah, there it is. Well, making decent... Oh, my God, it's already 10:30.
Yeah, that's all right. This one goes to 11.
Yep, this one goes to 11. All right, I'm down for that.
I'm hitting a good stride here.
Me too.
I could just keep
going.
like,
kind of that point now where it's like, okay, we've gone past when we normally go to, but also, like, I'm just getting into it, you know?
Yeah. That's kind of what happens with painting. Like, if there are folks out there watching who are not into the hobby of like, painting miniatures, you get into this zone and like you don't want to come out of it, and it takes a little while to warm up, but once you do, it's nice. You start making a whole lot of progress on these little figures, and you don't want to stop.
Here's a thing that I kind of, I don't know if I'd say learned, I observed. I didn't learn. I guess I'd say I didn't learn anything during that challenge, but I observed a whole lot, you know? Maybe that's a better way of putting it. Because...
Alright, let's hear it.
So one of the things that I observed was I can really just get into that kind of, like, painting mood. And all it really takes in a stupid way is just watching videos about painting.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Because, like...
It's inspiration.
Yeah. Well, no, not even, like, inspiration necessarily, but, like, there are a couple YouTubers who I'll watch before I go to paint something, or, like, while I'm painting something.
Uh-huh.
And it kind of helps me get into that headspace of, like, yeah, that looks fun. I want to paint that. Or, like, not paint that specific thing, whatever they're painting, but, like, yeah, painting is fun, you know? It's not just, like, a chore that I have to slog through. You know, it's like, I can, like, sit down and paint and be awesome. So, that is a really weird bend. Look at the way that strat bends.
I can't remember now. Yeah, that's kind of strange.
Yeah. Well, it's not supposed to go on this model. You can tell that by looking at the hand. That's bit of a nasty cut there. But, whatever.
It's all good.
Yeah. So, a couple of these channels that I really like watching, do you mind if I shout them out real quick? Is that a thing?
Oh, that's what I meant to do. Okay. I'm like, why did I put my brush down? What was that?
Yeah.
It's like, get this fucking hair off of here.
3 channels.
Yeah.
turned into fucking
The
Monty
main
Python.
channel I want to give a
Yep.
shout out to is blah 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 and blah blah blah. The two main channels I want to get to.
Yep. So the first one is Ninjan. Like ninja, but John. Ninjan.
Okay.
And he's done a lot of videos lately about, like, painting X amount of points in blah 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 hours. And he kind of talks about, like, what are good ways to get your armies painted fast without having it turn into that, like, oh, here we go, I have to paint again.
The slog, yeah.
Yeah. And he gave some really good tips on that. So I was watching a whole lot of his videos recently. The two others were Miniac.
Oh, that's
The miniature maniac.
That's a good name.
Yeah, because I really like his channel because he kind of combines, two things that I really like, minis and metal.
Oh, sweet. Like what kind of metal?
To be honest, not a whole lot. It's mainly just his intro, and he yells sometimes.
Okay.
But it's a cool channel, and I do like watching his videos. And he does all sorts of stuff, but a lot of the stuff that I've been watching from him are like painting technique videos, like how to learn a new technique, tutorials on different techniques, and it's really cool stuff that makes me think, like, I want to sit down and I want to paint and I want to try wet blending, or I want to try, like, feathering, or I want to try this or that,
Okay, nice, because I was going to ask you, like, what techniques?
So, like, all this stuff, like blending and mixing your own colors and, like,
Nice.
using that in blending and feathering and mixing colors that you'd never really think of using together, like using purple and yellow and not having your minis end up, like, looking like a fucking Lakers game.
Carnival, yeah, like
What is
Mardi
it, the
Gras,
Vikings?
Carnival.
Vikings, right?
Minnesota Vikings, that's
Yeah,
football.
purple and yellow.
Yep.
Yeah, but, like, he was talking about, like, how can you take...
The Lakers have yellow and
Yeah.
green, I think.
Yeah.
They're our basketball team.
Yeah, he was talking about, like, how can you use two colors that you wouldn't normally use and have it still look good? So, like, he was painting the skeleton, for example, and his primary colors were, like, bone and... or maybe it was a Space Marine, I can't remember. It was, like, bone and yellow and purple. And it was, like, a really, like... It wasn't, like, a dark purple or whatever, like a muted kind of, like, you'd see it on the cloth. It was, like, a vibrant purple.
Yeah.
And it was really cool the way he used
Aubergine.
Here,
kind of
it
a
was
thing.
like this.
Yeah.
And the way he used it was really cool, and it was not a way that I would think to use it. He used it as the shadow. So instead of... He didn't do any washes on there. Or maybe he did, but I can't remember exactly how he did it, but he effectively painted it in, like, 3 stages: bottom, middle, and top. It's like he painted it all in this, like, bone color, classic, skeleton. It's a bone.
Yeah.
And then from the top he painted it in a lighter bone color, and he did, like, a zenithal highlight or whatever. And he painted, he sprayed it from the top down through his airbrush, and he painted it in, like, a lighter bone highlight color. And then he took this purple, and he highlighted it with purple from... Highlighting
Whoa.
might not be the right word then.
Let's drop this.
He kind of, like, sprayed it from beneath with this purple to make it look like it was standing in shadow. But that shadow color wasn't just a generic wash that you slap over the top and call it a day. It was this, like, really nice purple shadow coming from underneath it. And it looked really cool.
Huh.
And then he kind of tied that in with bits on the mini, like, if it had armor, maybe, like... if there was, like, a bit of cloth on his armor, maybe it was, like, a purple banner or something like that.
Oh, dude, I was totally expecting you to say with a rug. Like, he tied that all together with a rug.
So he, like... He tied it all together, and it looked really awesome. And then... what the fuck was the other thing that he did that was really cool? This isn't really... It's not the same guy, but this is, I guess, an example of the same kind of, like, technique. This guy painted a blood angel. And, blood angels, they're red. And he painted...
Really?
Yeah, no, really, it's insane. They're, like, red is... It's, like... I don't think it has
almost
anything
like
to do
the
with
color
the name.
of an angel, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's why they call him a blood angel? Right, okay.
Totally. So he painted a blood angel, and he sprayed the entire backside of it with blue. And you'd think, like, that's really weird. Why the fuck would he do that? But, like, from the way he's taking pictures of it, because it was a display piece, it wasn't just like a mini.
Right.
It was a bust, I think, of like a scaled up one, like one,
Okay,
whatever,
yeah,
52nd scale.
Yeah, 125th or whatever.
So he sprayed like the back half of it in just this really rich blue, and it looked awesome because it looked like he was coming out of this like fog and this shadow, and there's this, this dark blue shadow behind him, and it made, in a weird way, it really made the red pop out more.
Oh yeah, I can
And
totally see that.
It was awesome, and just shit like that,
I miss art school. I really do. I wish, like, part of me kind of would like to do that again, but
Money
well, yeah,
and time.
Time is the big thing.
Yeah.
I'm not so worried about the money. I can find a way to do it. But just the enrichment from learning those techniques and all that, like learning how to work with those color palettes. So what's interesting is, like, everything you're describing is what I would call like modern takes on an old hobby.
Yeah.
Like, okay, the history of painting miniatures started off with like being very matter of fact. Like, if you were a tabletop gamer, it almost exclusively meant you were a tabletop war gamer, and you were playing historicals like Napoleonics or Jacobites or Prussians or whatever, Teutonic Knights, World War II.
Yeah.
And you were painting to a standard. And the standard was, well, this infantry unit wore this color green, and they had this patch, so you were very, very sort of like prescribed in the manner, in the color palettes that you would use. And then when fantasy came along, you were getting a little more color. But then that sort of kept going. The addition of more color kept going brighter and vibrant, because at first they were sort of dark, earthy tones, the orcs and goblins and the heroes, and they had like browns and earth colors and greens if they were rangers, and every once in a while you'd see red or yellow or something would pop out, right? Like a little splash of color, just a little bit of color.
Yeah.
And then like in the last decade, you've been seeing there are names for all these like chromatic things and prismatic and like
Color
the
shifting.
color not just the color shifting paints, but people doing that effect on the model, like the whole gradient thing, with the rainbow colors and with like psychedelic colors and things that look like they should be under a black light, but they're not. They're already painted that way. They don't need to be under a black light. So it's really cool. And one of the coolest things I've seen in the last decade or two is the black and white paintings, where people are doing it like an old black and white movie, So
Have you seen the actual blacklight paints? I think Tim painted some mushrooms using them.
yes,
And it looks really fucking cool.
yeah.
Oh,
Nuts.
That's the kind of thing where it's like, I don't think I would ever paint something like that, because then you have to have a black light, and then if you're like gaming at a store or whatever, you have to take the black light with you to be able to show people.
Well, yeah,
But,
that's
like, it'd be cool. And it did look cool when he had the black light on.
So you mean you'd have to have a black light like the one that's on the bar behind me?
Yeah. Just like strapped to your chest.
I didn't know if you remembered that or not. That's why I brought
did.
that
Yeah,
up.
we haven't used it in...
Yeah, it's
So
hard
long.
on the eyes.
It is. It is
So
really hard on the eyes.
it's nice to light it up because everything glows and you see every single million pieces of lint on your shirt.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
it's very hard on the eyes.
Yeah. See, that's kind of like... That's what I like about the lights in my room. I can have that same... I wouldn't say the same effect, because it is quite different from an actual black light.
Well,
But...
I don't know.
No,
man.
it's not. It's not a black light, but I can have that same general purple glow that, like, I really like the color purple. I think at this point I would have to say it's probably
book
my
or the
favorite
movie?
color.
Sorry, never mind.
Oh, is that
Go
the
ahead.
name of them?
Yeah.
So, I really like that color. And I can just, like, kind of like that purple that you see in a black light. you know?
Yeah.
So I can have that color without just having to have a black light in my room and having to, like, look away from it.
Right.
So.
Right. See, I grew up with that stuff because my parents were hippies, and I think I've told you stories about them before. So, as a child of the 70s, I was always around black lights and parties that had black lights. And they'd have the full-on posters, the black velvet posters with the day glow paints, you know? So, like, Jimi Hendrix,
Yeah.
Janis Joplin, and all kinds of psychedelic paisley stuff. It's really cool. It's a cool medium.
It's a cool medium when you can see it.
Yeah.
Because you do.
Right, again, going back to what you said, is like you actually need the light for it to...
Yep.
To experience the full effect. This Gabo is carrying a whole lot of bags here.
Yeah, I was looking at that one. He's got a ton of them. Oh, back to channels. So the last channel that I've been watching a lot of lately is this guy. He goes by Goobertown Hobbies, and he paints all sorts of stuff. And it's
a funny name.
Yeah, it is a funny name. It's very like
Goobertown.
Yeah, it's very like.
He said goober.
It sounds like something out of a kid's cartoon, but like
right.
You watch his videos and he's like, he's a very one of the reasons why I really like watching his videos is he's like the fucking Bob Ross of painting minis, and he's very calm. He's very like happy, but about like weird shit on minis. Like, we're just gonna paint this guy here, and he's got this nice cauldron of blood that we're gonna paint. So let's choose a really nice red for this blood. And he'll be like, he is kind of like Bob Ross. He'll be like, I think this needs a little friend, so we're gonna put some, like, fuck, where he's like, we're gonna put some, like, dark Eldar, like, BDSM dark elves around the cauldron of blood.
That's funny.
And he's got, like, all of these, like, crazy minis, and it's all, like, you know, he does a lot of Warhammer stuff, so, like, Age of Sigmar, mainly.
Uh-huh.
So he'll have, like, the Age of Sigmar Dark Eldar, and, you know, it's all, like, the succubus demons and all that, and he'll have them, like, he had a video where he had them, like,
I don't think I've ever ridden that bus.
he had one where he's, like, so, like, peaceful and calm and happy while he was, like, putting together and painting a whole bunch of succubi?
I suppose.
A whole bunch of, like, succubi doing, like, a cult dance around a big ogre with a cauldron of blood.
Nice.
So, he's also got 2 cats that frequently appeared in the videos, so that's always a plus.
Yeah, I feel kind of bad. Speaking of, I heard Zuzu out there earlier mewing. And, you know, I suppose, like, we could let her in here for the workbench because she's just going to go do her thing behind us. But she's got no food or water over there, so it would be like a non-stop mew fest. Mew, 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 mew.
Yeah.
Feed me, bastard.
Yep, that is exactly how it would go.
There goes Deacon again. I'm not sure where he went. He just walked off camera and didn't tell me where he was going. How rude.
I went out to look for her to bring her in here, but I have no clue where she's at.
Yeah, she probably went back upstairs. But it was just funny. You just walked off camera. You didn't say where you were going or what you were doing, and I'm
Well,
like,
you're talking about bringing her in, so I figured
Yeah.
I'd go grab her.
well, yeah,
I'm
I
just
kind of
hoping she
assumed
didn't,
that, but like, you know, I'm sitting here like, do you want me to do a song and dance to get you entertained?
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, so I just said Deacon went off camera and didn't announce where he was going. So how rude, how rook.
I'm really hoping she didn't like climb up into the ceiling or anything, trying to get in here like she did before.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a possibility. It's not outside of the realm of possibility.
I don't really hear her like clamoring about in there, so I'm just gonna go ahead and assume that she didn't.
She farted the other night,
Oh my god!
and
Really?
like I was holding her on a pillow. She fell asleep in my arms. We were watching TV, and she let out a cat fart. And this is unusual for me because for as long as I've had cats, I'm sure they fart. I know they fart.
There's a really fucking funny video
But
of one doing that.
I so rarely have ever been in the presence of a cat that's farted that it had me laughing and freaking out simultaneously.
Oh my god, the cat's gonna explode.
No, I brought this up in another stream, speaking of farts, like, the comedian, the late comedian George Carlin had a bit about farts, and he's like, he was talking about, like, have you ever been around, like, I don't know, I don't remember word for word how the skit went, but he's basically like, have you ever been around a dog when it farts? Like, they have a very distinct smell, you know, it's like, you know, honey, did you fart? No, it was the dog. I saw its asshole move, you know. He's like, I've got my own distinct farts. I've got my, you know, Schlitz farts. I've got my, you know, my Funyuns farts or whatever, you know. Like, he could very clearly identify which ones are his because of the foods that gave him gas. It was a funny skit.
I was watching,
Incidentally, George Carlin is who played Rufus in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures.
Yeah. I was gonna say, speaking of having not farts for specific things, but speaking of having, like, whatever for specific situations or for specific things, I was watching this video, and I've been watching a lot of tier list videos lately, just because it's background noise,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of them on YouTube.
Yeah, you talk about them a lot.
Yeah. So these guys were doing tier list of all of the beers that they could get in their local store.
Uh-huh.
So they were like, he was talking about it, is like, turns out even if you're only drinking a shot of it, having a shot of like, you know, 26 different beers, or having a bit more than a shot of like 26 different beers is actually a lot. So
It is.
by the end of the night, I don't know how accurate we were with them. And they were talking about him, and he was saying, like, they drank this one, I can't remember what it was, but they drank it, and this one guy was like, that's an S tier for me. That's like, I love that so much. And while he was saying that, the other guy was like coughing. He's like, that is the most disgusting thing I have ever drank. What the fuck was that? And he's like, yeah, but by the time you down like 30 of them, you don't really care about the taste anymore.
Oh my god.
But they were ranking these beers, and this guy was saying like, yeah, this is my plain beer. This is my airplane beer, and it was like a Heineken or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Because you know it's like what they have on the planes.
Yeah. Of course.
You know, they got it on like all planes, and then they got like, they did the beer after that. He was like, this is my airport beer. And he's like, motherfucker, you have an airport beer and an airplane beer? And he had like, he had a home beer, he had a game beer, an airport beer, an airplane beer, like at a friend's house beer, at a party beer, Like,
I gotta admit, I love the idea of that, and I kind of have a little bit of that myself too.
he had like
By
a
no
fucking.
means do I consider myself a beer snob, but there are some times when you're out and you're like, I want a lighter beer,
I mean, I
you know, but I
wouldn't.
don't want like watered
From
down
yeah,
horse piss,
from all
like you know
from
Miller
all I
Lite or
know.
Bud Light.
Yeah, I was gonna say from all I know about beer, having tried like a sip of one of yours, I wouldn't call that guy a beer snob either because he said that like can't remember what it was. He's like Bud Light was one of his favorites
Oh, that's
because he could just
fucking
drink so many of
gross.
them in a row.
Well, that's it. They're cheap and they're easy
Yeah.
to it's swill. They're easy
So
to swill. You just like guzzle them.
yeah, so the way they were ranking them
It's like fucking
was
nasty beer though.
they were trying to rank them along the same thing, and they were just ranking them based off of taste. But one guy was sticking to that pretty well. He was sticking to like just ranking them by taste, and the other guy was like, "Man, I could chug like 30 of these in 5 minutes. That's got to count for something." And he's like, "We're ranking them on taste," and he's like, "Yeah, but by the time I'm done, I'm not going to be able to taste any of them. So
Yeah.
what's the point in ranking
Yeah.
them by taste?"
I won't really give a fuck when I'm done. By the time I'm done drinking, tasting.
Yeah, he was saying
There's
back
a
at
very admirable quality in truthiness.
he was saying like that's where he came from. That's like the one thing that you could use to tell like when people got paid was whether they had or like what type of beer they had. You could tell they got paid if they had like a Mexican named beer. So if they had that was fancy and you could tell they just got their money. But if they had
Like
anything
Corona,
else, yeah,
or
Corona,
Negro
Modelo,
yeah, Dos Equis.
yeah, he's like that's how you tell. That's how you tell people got paid. Otherwise, still living paycheck to paycheck. Oh my god, they were saying some messed up stuff in that video. They were talking about what beers they drank in college, and he was like, I can't remember what he was saying. One of them went to ASU, and he was like, "Did they drink that at ASU?" And he's like, "No, ASU's a party college, man."
Is that Arizona State University?
Yeah, Arizona State. He's like, "ASU's a party college, man. Their STD rate is as high as their acceptance rate."
Oh Jesus Christ!
I was like, "Oh my god."
He's not talking about student test distributions.
Yeah.
Student test deviations. Okay. This dude is hilarious. Have you seen this one?
I think I have.
Look at it up close, what it's holding in his hand.
Yeah, it's like a bottle, isn't it?
No!
Oh, it's
It's like a squiggling. Oh shit, I forgot their name. Not squiggling. Snotling.
Snotling, yeah. Oh my god, it is. That's awesome. Are you gonna paint that up in like green as well?
Yeah, it took me a little while. Like I said, that's why I started changing the lenses on these because the old eyes aren't what they used to be, and it took me a little while to understand what he was holding. When I did, you were I don't know where you were, but I started laughing my ass off.
That's awesome. I gotta figure out what to put this guy on. I got a termagant here.
You're doing that thing again, where like from over here, you got it
Oh,
up
yeah.
under the light, and I can't see past this part of it. But okay.
Got a termagant that I want
Nice.
to paint, but I want to like. I don't know how big it is compared to some of the stuff. I want to stick it on the base of
Like
something, you
like
know,
it got
like
killed.
it's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ow.
I showed you what I did with the Redemptor Dreadnought that I did, right?
I
a
don't
Tyrannid
know.
head. I had some Gene Stealers from. I think you gave them to me. It's like the
Well, probably I give you a box full of them.
yeah, you know the ones on like the like the pink plastic spruce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I had some of those. So I chopped one of their heads off, and I glued a piece of cork to the base,
Uh-huh.
and then I glued the Tyranid head like right next to it. Made it look like he got crushed by a rock or something.
Nice. He's got leather wraps too. Okay.
I want to make some really cool objective markers sometime. I keep meaning
We keep talking about that,
Yeah.
and like we've got some good ideas about how to do it, but we've got enough bits to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got like a fucking assload of bits. And the bases.
And the bases, yeah. I might work on some of those now then. And by work on, I mean pull stuff out out of the bits box to oh geez, there it all goes. Pull stuff out of the bits box to start trying to like put something together.
Man, this is the dude's legs. I thought they were pants.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, otherwise I would have. I mean, I haven't screwed
blood
anything up. I can go back and do goblin green on this, but or goblin skin or whatever it's called. But I just hate that. Like, I hate the fact that I missed it the first time around.
Ah, fuck.
You
Ooh,
alright?
that hurt. No, really spiky bit
You
here.
have something right up your fingernail?
No, like just side of my hand.
Oh.
Painful still, but you know. Oh, I could use that. That's cool.
I have a song stuck in my head that if I mention it, I know you're gonna slip up and you're gonna sing it. So I'm not gonna say it.
No, what song? No, you can't just say that and then not say the song.
No, I'm saying it because it'll help me maybe get the song out of my head.
No, I want to know the song. What song is it?
I know if I tell you the song, you're gonna wind up singing it. Like,
But what song is
and
it?
then we're gonna get slapped with
No,
the
no, but
DMCA.
what song is it?
Links.
Oh.
Links 2, 3, 4.
There's my objective marker. Putting this out on the board.
Could be.
Too big. I want them on 25 and 32 millimeter
big.
bases, and then if I have them on that, I can just put them down on like a mat or something, you know?
Yeah. We got about 5 minutes, 5 minutes till 11 before we go. We just want to thank everybody for tuning in and hanging out and chatting with us. For those of you who were decent enough to do that. If you're lurking and you're watching us and you got us on in the background, that's totally cool too. We love to do that as well with other streamers while we're working on our hobbies.
Yep.
Check us out on Facebook. If you are on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Black Dragon Tavern. Check us out on Instagram at Black Dragon Tavern Online. And you can catch us on Twitter at Tavern_Black. We're also on YouTube. We got a link on the Twitch page that will take you to the YouTube channel.
We'll also have links set up on the other social medias for YouTube as well. We should probably start getting that out there. And the big one that we've been teasing for a month now, and we're too lazy to finish.
Yeah, the Discord server.
Discord.
Discord server is pretty much ready to launch. So we're likely going to do that after the stream tomorrow night, or maybe Sunday sometime.
We'll do it before the stream tomorrow.
Okay, well, if we got time, we got a lot going on.
Well, we could do it tonight. You know?
Yeah, we could. Yeah, once I'm done like screwing around with the VOD and all that stuff and putting it up on YouTube but
send the link out.
be sure to tune in next week, or actually be sure to tune in tomorrow night. We're going to be back tomorrow night from 8 p.m. God, yeah, I want to stream all day long.
God.
8 a.m. till like next Thursday. 8 p.m. Central Daylight or Central Standard Time. I can't remember what we're on. And we're going to be playing a game tomorrow night. heroes and villains, or heroes and monsters.
Yep.
Super excited about that. So hopefully we'll see you then.
Yeah. With that being said, I think it's just about everything.
Yeah, I think so. Got a couple more minutes left here.
Oh, we gotta leave it on until 11, because this stream
Yeah,
goes
because
to
this stream
11.
goes to 11. That's right. We'll see you, Aaron. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
Appreciate
see ya.
it. Hey, Aaron. Also, one thing I should have said is, if you got suggestions for something you'd like to see on the show or something you'd like to hear us talk about, please, by all means, drop us a line. Hit us up in chat. Send us a message through one of the socials, whether it's Twitter
Discord
or now
server.
Discord.
We will have a channel on the Discord server, so if you want to make a suggestion for anything you want to see on the stream, be sure to put it in the Discord.
That'll be a good place for it.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
That is very true. I'm thinking I'm getting some pretty good stuff here.
I'm not surprised you got like so many things to choose from.
Yeah. Well, it's hard coming up with like, I want different things. I don't want to have 6 objective markers that are all the same thing, you know?
Oh, understandable.
So it's hard to come up with like, what are my 6 unique objective markers?
Sure. Oh, no, son of a bitch. Okay. Saved. I can tell I'm getting a little fatigued.
And I might actually do more than 6. I could have like 2 sets, like capture / hold objectives, and then like destroy objectives. So I could have like recover a chapter relic, or like whatever, for one of the objectives that you're supposed to hold, or for an objective that you're supposed to go and destroy. It could be like these tyrannid egg sac things that are like, go and purge the foul Xenos. Purge, burn in holy fire. On the thing that's tough is faction, like not including faction specific stuff, Like I put some stuff out here for an objective marker, and then I realized, shit, if I do that idea, I'm only going to be able to use that objective marker for my Black Templars.
Yep.
So...
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you guys
Stop
so
back
much
in
for
tomorrow.
tuning in.
Twitch.tv/Black Dragon Tavern. We'll be here at 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be doing the first half from Fireside Chat, and then the second half, we're going to be playing the tabletop game. Hope to see you then. Have a good night.
See ya. Hold on.
Okay, apparently we're making the mic hot again because we have less than a
Yeah.
minute till 11 o'clock. My watch says 11.
Mine does
but this
not.
stream goes to 11. We could make it 11:11.
No. It's less than a minute. Whatever. Oh my god, it's the 1 minute that seems to go on
10:59.
forever.
I know, we're like, come on, 11 o'clock. I'm not in a real rush or anything, but
Yeah.
we've got to go to 11 if we go to 11.
Oh,
If we name the
yeah.
stream, this
There we go. It's
stream
11.
goes to 11.
Alright, good night, y'all.
All right, see ya.
See ya.
You want to go shut it off over there?
I
That's one
suppose
thing
so.
I'm not sure if I can do from here or not. I can try it. Yeah, well, hold on. I can try it from here.
I was a bit late for that.